I do love a good intro, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Such a pleasure and honor to be here with you this morning on Wednesday, October 11th, 2023. Let's get our heads right today on a Wednesday. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Rindo, the executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Peachy.
Good. To my left is Benjamin R. Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning.
How's everything?
Sore. I'm sore.
You're very sore.
I don't usually work out hard enough to really get sore, which probably means I'm not doing it right.
Yeah,
but I guess
exactly what it means.
Yeah. I guess I did it right yesterday because arms, legs.
You do the full body workout?
I mean, just going around different
circuits?
I don't know if you'd call it circuits, but we're working on flexibility, which is important for me because I have none at all.
It's so key.
None. A lot of core work that,
is not fun.
Abs and, just turning with weights, pulling the band, like bands. Oh, I hate the band. The bands are worse than the weights.
Love the bands.
Bands are like my nightmare.
I love the bands.
Yeah, you do like bands.
I love bands.
You're a band
I'm a band
person.
guy. Always have been a band guy.
I've never been much of a band guy myself.
Bands are really good for flexibility.
Yeah, so we work with bands.
And mobility.
A lot, yeah.
You need to do more rolling. I tell you this every day. I have these lacrosse balls in here, and that's why I didn't bring them in to juggle. I brought them in so that on a break I can roll my butt or my back, and it feels like ass, actually, but it really, really works. You try some glutamine. Mix in some glutamine. Yeah.
What is that made from?
Recovery. It's just recovery. It's a recovery powder. You can buy it at GNC. This isn't some back alley deal that I'm giving you, right?
I've never been a big supplement guy.
You don't take like protein shake or something?
No, I take vitamin D. That's about it in terms of because my doctor told me I needed more vitamin D, which seems weird because I get plenty of sun, but
you do.
They said you had a bit of a vitamin D deficiency last time I went to the doctor, and so that's the only thing I take as a supplement.
I'd say if you wanted to, it's tasteless. It doesn't taste like anything. Just mix in some glutamine to some water or like a smoothie. You like smoothies? Not
glucosamine. That's different.
That too. That's good for your joints. But the glutamine is like good recovery.
I do like glucose.
We all do.
I like glucose.
I like glucose. Can I get that hot fudge sundae with extra glucose, please? Thank you very much. Well, everyone's in a fantastic mood this morning. I don't know what got into us, but we are feeling good. I got to tell you, man, as a parent, this, Benny, Paula, you can imagine, and you guys out there listening, you love your children very much, and I love my kids so much. But there was yesterday, Bo was home, finger quotes, sick from school.
Oh, boy.
So I saw you during the show yesterday doing FaceTime with Bo, and I kind of hear there's the whimpering voice.
Yes.
And I know what's going on because I lived through that.
Oh, yeah.
As a father of two in those years when everything seems going fine. They go every day. Everything's
cruising.
Good.
Everything's great.
And then one day they get up and they say they're sick.
Yeah.
And you don't remember any symptoms or anything.
You actually don't even see any symptoms.
Signs of illness coming on. Yet all of a sudden, right before school, they are quote unquote sick.
Yes.
And you are skeptical. But then, as a parent, you also feel bad about your skepticism because there was a time that you then made them go to school and they threw up at school.
Or they said to you one time, Dad, I don't feel good. And you look at them, you feel their forehead, you look fine. You're not doing this. You're not delaying bedtime, okay? I love you, but you're not. 10 minutes later, and you come in and there's vomit all over the bed. That's happened before. So, of course, yes, he's the boy that cried wolf. Of course he is. He's 5 years old. So I had to go.
School nurse calls you, hey, moron.
Hey, your kid is just like retching and vomiting.
Why did you bring him here?
Right? So I go, all right, buddy, stay home and I'll come get you from Mama. Mama had a hair appointment, so she took Bo with her. So I went and met. Well, his grandmother showed up to grab him and take him to a little breakfast spot in the same shopping center. So I met them. So I walk up to the table, and my sick child is just rosy cheeks, sucking down cookies and drinking a Sprite. And I'm like, how you feeling? He's like, I was like, you little turd. So I had him from 10:30 until we had to go get Taylor at 4:30. We bring him home, the whole bit. Taylor's a banshee. Takes his dinner, flips it over, stuff everywhere.
Was it not up to his standards?
I guess it wasn't. So he's just at that age. He's almost 3. And I looked at him and I go, this is going to be a long night. And we got him bathed. So as I'm bathing them, Ben, and I put them in their PJs, they're singing poop diarrhea. For 20 minutes, poop diarrhea, poop diarrhea.
Who's that by?
Nope, I don't know. They made it up. Poop diarrhea, incessantly.
It's not the latest from Foo Fighters?
It's not.
Yeah, okay.
Poop diarrhea. It's actually better than the new Foo Fighters. Poop diarrhea, over and over and over. And I tweeted it last night. I said, when the clock goes back, these dudes are going to bed at 4. 4 o'clock. When the sun goes down, I'm going to be like, guys, it's really late. Look how dark it is.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach.
They're going to bed at 4 o'clock. I'm going to pick Taylor up at school at 3:45, and I'm putting him right to bed when I get home.
Don't forget about the poop.
Are we still doing the jump back? We still do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's first week in November.
Daylight
I
savings
believe.
time still a thing.
I'm counting.
You got like 3 more weeks.
I'm counting the days. They literally, to be serious, 5 o'clock. They go to bed now. We put them down last night. Hey, you're both under the weather. You need to 6:15, and it was still light outside. I was like, I don't care. You're going to bed. You're driving me crazy. So you're going to sleep. It basically is what it was. They are going to bed at 5 o'clock.
But forcing early bed doesn't necessarily solve the problem. If then they are
solves my problem. I get up and go to work early. I'm good.
But are they actually
November
falling
5th.
asleep, or are they simply
No,
moaning and getting up over and over again because they can't go to sleep?
90% of the time, they both
do go down.
Go right to bed. They're good sleepers. Like, Bo gets up early, but that's fine. But I was sitting there last night and trying to watch these games, trying to do any semblance of work. I've had Bo since 10:30. And it's just like, and they're just poop diarrhea, singing it at the top of their lungs and doing their Bill Howe bit. Both of them now do it. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE, Bill Howe, because Wiener Howe. And then Bo, Wiener Howe, and he laughs, and then it makes me laugh, so then they keep doing it. I'm sorry to the Bill Howe people out there. Did I tell you about his FedEx bit that he created,
No.
Bo?
Oh, no.
Got a
He's got a
new one,
FedEx
too.
bit.
Yeah, it's a corporate nightmare.
He is.
Workshopping that one around.
Driving the other day, he sees a FedEx truck, and he goes on my mother. Out of the blue, he goes, FedEx, more like fat ass. And I go, what? Where did you? What? What does that even mean? 5 years old. I was like, I go, oh, is that a new bit you're doing? I'm like, and then he's got the, we are partners. Bum, 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 bum. He's my son. He's straight up my son. And he beats a bit into the ground like I do as well. So it's no shortage of comedy in my home. The Bill Howe one, when they both do it, it makes me laugh because Wiener Howe, it makes me laugh. And they created all this on their own. This is all their stuff. So it's not bad. Like for a 5-year-old material, that's pretty good.
It's an entirely new genre of comedy that they've created.
Making fun of corporate jingles. It's not the worst.
Sticking it to the man.
It's
With
not
somewhat
the worst
dirty
bit.
words,
It is not the worst bit. These are not the worst I've ever heard, dude. So, anyway, it brings a smile to my face. But after a while, you're like, I love you so much. You've got to go to sleep. You have to go to bed. I got to get some time to myself to watch essentially what were two pretty terrible, boring playoff games yesterday. It sucks when it happens that way, but you know,
Game's over in the second inning,
first,
third inning,
it
first
felt
inning.
like, you know, and we'll get into all those games. A lot of decent little talkers today, little nuggets that we found.
Yeah, we've got some Fernando Tatis Jr. news
Yep.
we will talk about coming up that was broken by one. Hector Gomez always seems to have some spicy off-season nuggets out of the Dominican Republic, so we'll let you know about that. Our friend Scott Lewis from the Voice of San Diego sent a tweet that we've already debated off the air this morning as well, and we'll bring it on to the air regarding
So he's responded.
playoff celebrations.
We'll read the tweet and everything and tell you what it's about. But I wrote, "Ooh, spicy, Scotty," and he said, "I shouldn't tweet when I'm in a bad mood." I guess I said, "There's no one on the planet who does this more than me, buddy." So always send a regretful tweet. You end up getting dragged for it, and you're like, Probably should just kept that one in the old chamber.
And today is obviously a pivotal day for that team that plays up the road from us.
Yeah.
In fact, it could be the last day of their season if things don't go well for them in Arizona tonight. So we'll be taking a look at what's going to go on in the National League playoffs today.
I want to also pick your brain a little bit, and I want to do a little bit of the come get on my couch. And I want to really explore your feelings about what's going on in Texas. I want you to be honest. I know you're not a therapy guy, but I feel like
It's not your fault, Ben.
It's not your fault. I feel like if I could lay you down a little bit, get inside your dome, your very Bruce Bochy-ish sized head, I feel like we could get to the root of some issues.
Okay.
You feel hurt today, don't you?
I'm not mad about it. I'm confused about some things that are going on right now.
You're also very hurt.
I'm not that hurt.
You're pretty
I like
hurt.
Boch. I like Chris Young.
You're pretty
I'm
hurt.
happy for them.
But see, you say that with a little glee, with a
very happy for the Texas Rangers today.
You have a little.
Will Venable, very happy for all of those former Padres right now that were here.
I want to get into it.
Okay.
If you'll allow me to play psychoanalyst.
That's fine. Guest-wise, well, as usual, we kind of think Adam Jones is coming on.
Update.
Update.
We have an update.
We know he's coming on.
He is definitely coming
It's going
on.
to be at 8:35.
8:35.
Okay.
All right, I will make the appropriate notation in our rundown. Corrected right there. 8:35 for Adam Jones. He will obviously have to come in and talk about the Baltimore Orioles and getting swept out of the playoffs after a 100-plus win season. Saw the stat last night. I thought this was Jason Stark had it. It was tweeted at us by one of our Tier 1s as well. The Orioles joined the 1998 San Diego Padres in baseball history as the only two teams ever to not get swept during the regular season, only to get swept out of their final playoff series. Of course, the Padres at least got to the World Series before they were swept in 1998. The Orioles did it in their very first playoff series after not getting swept all year long. So,
And how about that AL Beast, by the way? 0-7 in the postseason for the AL East.
Yep.
Just incredible.
And then Doug Glanville, who is always one of our favorites, such a smart guy, former major leaguer, heard him calling on Saturday the Phillies and Braves game on ESPN Radio. He's going to be with us at 9 o'clock to talk some more baseball playoffs as well. So stay tuned for the guests. Stay tuned for all of our regular features. We got some good talkers today. Feels like it should be a pretty decent Wednesday for all of us out there, Tier 1s. Thank you for joining us. Get started. Kelly's standing by with our first check of traffic, and then we are off and running middle of the week. Hey, the weekend's not that far off already. It's Ben Woods and Paul on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Softest hands in rock and roll, right there, Jack White. The softest hands I've ever felt, Jack White.
And then Meg White, right?
Yeah, Jack and Meg White.
The coupling, that's the theme this week.
Oh yeah,
Couples in music.
Gotta be my favorites.
Yeah.
This is a great song. What is it about? What's the Seven Nation Army anyway?
I mean, a lot of it's... I don't know. I never even thought about the lyrics. I just like everything else
I like
about
everything
it.
too. What softest
Their
hands
sound
meaning?
is so bad.
He has
Yeah.
the softest hands.
Like
Literally has
soft,
soft
hands.
So I mean,
Aren't they all calloused from
that's
playing
what I would
music
think.
and everything?
And there's a documentary for music heads out there. It's called It Might Get Loud. And it's Jack White, it's The Edge from U2, and it's Jimmy Page. And they're just talking about playing guitar. And if you like guitar, if you like music at all, you'll die. It's just, they're just sitting in a room talking about their craft. And it's, the first scene is Jack White building a guitar bend out of like a stick. He finds like a log in the yard and he like puts a nail in, wraps this string around it, plugs in some electric, and then he's like, he's like playing this one stringed stick that he invents. So yes, you would think he's so into what he does, his hands would be just ravaged. And I met him one time. And I shook his hand and I went, "Oh wow, like Palmolive hands."
I was
like,
just thinking
straight up.
I was thinking Palmolive too.
He's at home,
And then
with
I was
his hands
thinking,
dipped in the bowl.
that was an ad campaign that
Worked forever.
to wash dishes.
Yeah.
Our soap is
Remember-
so great that your hands.
Remember the hands in the clear bowl?
Really?
The-
Yes.
She just sits there, and I felt his hand, and they're huge, and I went, "Lord Almighty, those are some soft." Let me see yours. No, rough. Mine too. Rough.
When we were talking about the fact that I've done no manual labor,
They're
I
still
tell
rough.
People
calloused.
ask, "Do you have calluses?" And I go, "Yeah,
from
golf."
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. Mine are from something different, but I still have them.
Now,
Yeah.
Dominic says, I
go
don't know
blind.
if this is true or not. He says, Jack said it was from the way he mispronounced Salvation Army when he was a kid. Seven Nation Army? Salvation
Blows
Army?
my mind. Bo will write a song called Wiener Hal when he gets older. No, that's fantastic. Yeah, really, really, really good. It's such a good documentary, though. It Might Get Loud is the name of it. Those guys just shredding and playing all their most famous riffs and stuff. It's really, really well done. So I digress.
Let's start with the news. I mentioned Hector Gomez reporting yesterday that Fernando Tatis Jr. has received permission to play 20 games this season in the Dominican Winter League with, I assume it's his dad's team that manages, Fernando Tatis Sr. Received permission from the Padres, according to Fernando Tatis Sr., for 20 games. Obviously, everyone's first thought, including my own, was basically, oh no. I mean, that's 20 chances to get hurt. Something bad can happen in the offseason when you're not suiting up for the San Diego Padres. Is this a good idea? Or is this a bad idea for Fernando Tatis Jr.? It's one of the things you like about Tatis as well. We've talked about this before when he played Winter League ball, just a few games. Was it last season as well?
Yeah, I think so.
That you like the fact that he thinks it's important to go back to his home country, his family, and for those fans and give him a bit of an off-season show and be part of that league still every off-season. But if anything bad did happen, it would be a nightmare for the San Diego Padres.
Sure. I mean, the Tatis has gotten hurt in off seasons before, and it had nothing to do with baseball.
Right.
Do you know how many games he played last year for the San Diego Padres?
141.
141.
Yeah.
He was suspended for
20. First 20, and then he played all but one of them the rest of the way, correct?
The year before, 2021, he played 130 games. This thing, like, he's a baseball player who wants to play baseball in the offseason. I understand your nervousness. I'm not really that nervous about it. The way I kind of look at it is, if he's down there and he's working hard and playing baseball in 20 games, like, he could get hurt in the gym. My buddy sent me a DM. My friend went surfing with him in the DR the other day. You could get hurt surfing. You ever walk into the water and like step in a weird spot and roll your ankle, and there's a million different things. You could be riding a motorcycle and get hurt. There's a million different things
I've
that
walked
kid could
into
do.
a wall at my house.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
You can get hurt anywhere.
Really hurt.
Fell out of a chair. Like, there's a million things. So there's
Sliding glass door.
the part of me that wants to just fully let go of it and just trust it is that he's down there, he's playing ball, he's working hard.
Putting in work.
He's
Like,
putting in
those
work.
are good signs.
Yeah, he's a baseball player that's playing 20 games of baseball in the offseason. You can get hurt doing anything. I understand it, but
I see your
he's
point.
not going to go sit on
it
his
would be
ranch.
wor-
It's more dangerous if he's at his ranch with idle hands. That's how I feel.
I think your point, though, that it would be much worse for the Padres if they had a guy who really just didn't want to play baseball, didn't really want to be around the diamond, considered it work, and like dreaded showing up for spring training, like, oh, now I got to go back and put in another season of work. You like the fact that he loves baseball so much that he wants to be out there, even on a time when he can be on vacation and doing whatever he wanted to do in the offseason. He wants to be a baseball player. He wants to be out there. That's a good sign for the mentality of Fernando Tatis Jr.
I like
and a good
it
thing
too.
for the Padres.
Tony Jr. said, Raul let me know, I didn't hear this yesterday, but Tony Jr. said he needs to play these games because he's missed a lot of time. He has. He's missed a lot of games. So, yeah, obviously, I hope the best for all of
I
our
don't
guys.
100% agree with that take. I think the season before, when he was coming off not playing, absolutely, that makes a lot of sense. 141 games is a lot of baseball. that
The
he
other
played this
thing-
I'll
year.
default to Tony Gwynn Jr.
I will too. But the other thing too that I'll say is, and this is a really good point, Padres support group. I was literally just about to bring this up. It's not like he went to the Padres and asked them permission to go scale Mount Everest. I really want to do it, and they said, okay. He's just asking, can I play baseball? And they're like, yeah, sure. If they say no, resentment. Why? Why can't I? I'm playing baseball here. I'm not throwing a pitch down in Antarctica. I'm just here to play baseball. I just want to play ball. Guys play hoops in the offseason. They do all kinds of stupid things. I understand. I like the idea of
They work out with kettlebells.
They do. I like the idea of my guy.
Not to pile on Joe in
Right.
this segment, but
I like the idea.
No one makes a big deal about it when Joe is doing unorthodox workouts, but you can get hurt
Going
on
through
those.
Drake's Passage.
You can get hurt doing those as well as playing baseball.
He said, baseball players. I think Adam Jones has said this before. Baseball players are more likely to get hurt and injured when they're not playing the game, right? Like doing things weirdly out of character when you're in the routine and the grind. I love it. I think it's a great idea. If he gets hurt, I mean, you can get hurt doing anything. I don't think no player is going to go sit in the offseason. I hope. Sit in their house and play video games and watch TV. Well, one might.
Didn't say whether he was going to be playing outfield, shortstop, just DH.
Yeah.
I mean, for health reasons, DH obviously seems the safest. You can obviously still get hurt. You can get hit by a pitch. You can slide into second, but you're not running around in the field. However, if the Padres were thinking of transitioning him to center field, wouldn't be the worst thing to get some time out in center field. If that was a plan, I wouldn't mind seeing him out there and getting a little more of a comfort level even before spring training starts, taking some game action in center field. So there's a possibility for you of how the Dominican Winter League could help Fernando Tatis Jr.
Probably going to play short.
That was my first thought.
It's his dad. Look, it's daddy ball. Like it's the ultimate daddy ball. Pro team in the Dominican.
Back cleanup, play
Back
short.
cleanup, play
Back and
short.
forth.
Yeah. Everybody, Junior is our shortstop. Like he's a right fielder now. They're like, he's my shortstop.
He just won the Gold Glove.
Can I say though? I will say, if I'd rather him play the outfield or DH. I would. I'd rather him hit and.
Yeah, I'd rather him play center. Actually, that's where I'd like to see him.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a timeout. Talk about the American League Division Series games yesterday. Woods wants to delve a little bit into my mentality when it comes to the Texas Rangers and their ex-Padres on staff. Bruce Bochy, Chris Young.
It's not your fault.
I didn't do anything.
It's not your
I'm
fault.
good. I'm
It's
good.
not your fault.
Hey, it's not your fault.
Don't do this to me, Woods.
It's not your fault.
Not you. Not you too, Woods.
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault. You got the wrench, man. You picked the wrench with this one. You know, it does. It feels like the wrench.
It's Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We are perhaps just hours away from an all Lone Star State American League Championship Series. Woods, you
need it.
You
man.
talked about the rivalry between Dallas and Houston.
Yeah.
Maybe an underrated rivalry.
Massively underrated.
You don't see it in a ton of sports. I mean, what do we have in so in football, it's Texans and Cowboys. Texans have never really been relevant enough to be rivals for the Cowboys.
They still hate each other.
But they do hate each other.
The Texans have beaten the Cowboys at least a couple of times, and Jerry Jones is no fan of them, and they're no fan of Jerry Jones.
I feel the Rockets and Mavs don't like each other, but you don't hear about it on a national scale that much.
These two, since they got in
the same division,
I mean, and it's a media war. And they are, the thing about the Cowboys too.
Boston, New York, or more L.A., San Diego?
No, I think it's more Boston than
it's not a big brother, little brother sort of dynamic. Houston's enormous.
It's like
Dallas
the fourth
is
biggest city in the
enormous.
country.
But the number of wins, the cachet of the Astros is so much more than the Rangers. So much. So there is a little bit of little brother there.
Culturally, it's very different though, right? Because
very
Houston,
much the same.
really, I thought Houston was more of a southern kind of Gulf town, whereas Dallas is more of the northern
chic.
Texas-y,
it's very
oil town.
Yeah.
They're both oil,
but they're both super modern. You just never liked people from Houston when you're from Dallas, and I think vice versa. It's a very underrated scene, but you're seeing it play out now. At least I am. I still follow a lot of Dallas media personalities. The thing is, man, when you're in Dallas and you're a sports radio host, you're 95% Cowboys. Even with the Rangers having a monster season, having all these superstars, having a brand new ballpark, people I see all the time like, oh, cool, you guys are talking about the Cowboys again, who are just the most mediocre turds.
There it was. Glory hole.
We've got a team here that is really, really good, and you're giving, 5-minute segments a day? And in Houston, they're conditioned to win.
San Antonio's more like San Diego, the one team
Yeah,
town
yeah, one
with
team
looking
town.
up at the big cities.
Did I hear this right? Will this be the Astros' seventh
straight ALCS if they win one of the next two games?
God.
Yeah. That's
seventh?
That's some consistency for you right
Absolutely. So the Rangers want what the Astros have.
Two titles.
Did you see him last night after the win chanting, "We want Houston"? And I'm like, you guys are out of your minds. Like, you just don't do it. It's just not something you do.
You condition yourself and get ready for Houston.
Oh,
like
yeah.
We
are conditioned for Houston.
But you quietly think we want Minnesota.
You may be hoping that Minnesota somehow
Minnesota.
squeaks by, and you're like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, because then you're like, we wanted you guys. You guys spit the bit, and you didn't make it. So we'll gladly take
It's like
Minnesota.
that the Lakers wanted the Celtics in winning time.
Yeah.
Kept not getting them.
But,
them. They'll take the title that they won
It's easy
without
to say.
having to face the Celtics, too.
Just be careful. Just be careful what you wish for, because you may get it. That series, if it gets there, guys, I'm telling you. And the best part is, it's not just media. These two teams loathe each other. They hate each other. It's fantastic. So they've brawled this year. They've thrown at people this year. It's going to be phenomenal.
All right, this hour on The Fan is brought to you by U.S. Bank. Explore flexible, safe, and smart solutions at usbank.com today. Woods, you're going to try to help me make sense of the Texas Rangers and their October run here after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Tannick.
Traffic is sponsored by Premier Kia of Carlsbad. There's some activity on the coastline southbound 5 past the Aliso Creek Rest area. There's an overturned tanker over to the right, and looks like they may have the two right lanes blocked to try and clear that. This could be a long-term closure for at least a couple hours. So, anyone heading down from Orange County, this might affect them. That's southbound 5, just past the Aliso Creek Rest area. No big surprises elsewhere around the county. We do have reports of a stalled SUV in the fast lane northbound side of the 805 right before University. With a huge selection of new Kias in stock, they're sure to have the Kia of your dreams. They're right off the 5 freeway in the heart of Carlsbad, or shop online at premierkiaofcarlsbad.com. I'm Kelly Danik with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's not your fault. I know. No, you don't. It's not your fault. I know. It's not your fault. All right? It's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
Not your fault.
What are you thinking is going on in my head right now? That's what I'm trying to find out. I enjoyed seeing the success for Bruce Bochy yesterday and in the playoffs. 5-0 now, 5 straight wins, 4 of them on the road, 1 of them at home yesterday. None of them really particularly close games.
Didn't have to do a ton of managing.
No.
Yet. It's really, his team has really handled.
He's rolled out his lineup. They have taken care of business. The pitchers have pitched well. Everything's gone extremely well for the Texas Rangers so far this postseason.
It is like seeing your ex move on with somebody that is better looking, with more money, and a better body, and is happier. And you're like, Huh. I'm so happy for
I already
them.
did this, though, with the Giants and Boch for a decade.
Now you're doing it again.
Now
you have to
I'm
do
over.
it again.
It's fine. I'm happy for him. It's like when your ex has moved on to someone else, and then they move on to someone after that. It's not that big of a deal anymore, right?
This is a safe place for you. No one's listening. It's just me and you right now.
I actually
listen. How do you really feel? Is it jealousy?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm sure there's some of that there. I just want it to make sense. The Rangers won 68 games last year, and they won what 90 this year, and got the last team into the playoffs. Now they're playing well in October, which is great. And Chris Young has been hailed for his savvy GMing. Great, he deserves it. Bruce Bochy for his steady hand on the wheel. It's what Bruce Bochy is known for. He is now one of the greatest playoff managers of all time in Major League Baseball. I just don't understand exactly how they've done it. I want to be able to duplicate it. I want to know what they're doing, because if you simply look at the moves that the Rangers made, they have very similarly to the San Diego Padres. They signed a bunch of superstars a couple of years ago.
They have spent
an
a ton of money.
Amount of money. Payroll is almost identical to the Padres. And their results were worse. They won 68 games last year. The Padres won 89 games last year and made it to the NLCS. What did the two teams do in the offseason? Well, the Rangers went out, spent a lot of money again. They signed Jacob deGrom. Well, that didn't work out. Did he even pitch an inning?
Yeah,
he did.
Early.
Right, couple starts early in the year. Right, he did. He made a couple
5 years
of starts.
though. Chris Young and his staff committed 5 years, 185 to
Padres
Jacob deGrom.
spent a ton on Xander Bogaerts. It wasn't a perfect season, but certainly got more out of Bogaerts than they got out of Jacob deGrom. And then they went out and signed a couple of good pitchers who really helped their rotation in Nathan Eovaldi and Andrew Heaney. Both had good years. In fact, I got the numbers right here. Eovaldi 12-5, 3.63 ERA. Heaney 10-6, 4.15 ERA. Those guys absolutely helped lift those Texas Rangers up from 68 wins to 90 wins, a 22-win addition. The Padres, though, went out and signed 2 pitchers as well in Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo, who actually put up even better numbers. Wacha was 14-4 with a 3.22 ERA. Lugo 8-7 with a 3.57 ERA. So they went out and made better moves for an 89-win team that then lost 7 more games the next year, whereas the Rangers, with similar moves, won 22 more games. I'm just trying to figure out what's the difference. And you pointed out earlier, Rangers got some really good contributions from some young guys that came up, and that's something the Padres have been missing for sure. That would be helpful. But I don't know is that Bruce Bochy? Is that Chris Young? Because Chris Young didn't draft and develop those players. Those were from the previous John Daniels, I think, administration, the scouting department that he had before he left. So should we be crediting John Daniels for really what's going on with the Texas Rangers right now?
I think he deserves a lot of credit.
Okay.
The guys that have arrived to help them, young, cheap, controllable, really good talent. And he scouted, drafted, developed in some cases some of these guys that have now come up. They've been given an opportunity by Chris Young and Bruce Bochy to come in and perform. They've been managed well. They've been general managed well. And I think,
By the way, one of the criticisms that Boch has faced in his career is that he did not like trusting the young guys and bringing them up when he was with the Padres and the Giants. He always preferred his salty, seasoned veterans that he could trust versus guys like, Jonah Heim and Josh Young and some of the players that the Rangers have have been relying on this season. So, that's a credit to Boch that he's evolved as a manager over the years as well. He's not doing exactly the same things he did with the Padres in the 90s or even the Giants last decade with the Rangers this year. That's credit to him.
And I think when CY came over and the guys that he brought over, really, really smart guys like Will Venable, listen, man, I don't know what the secret sauce is in Texas. The jump that they've made is staggering. Now, listen, they spent a ton of money. And that's the thing is, people are like, oh, dude, I mean, they're all these homegrown players. Yeah, they also spent a crap load of cash as well. The blending of, I looked this morning. Somebody had said last night, well, CY lets Boch manage. And they're not heavy into analytics. And I thought to myself, they are. And somebody brought up the point, and I remember hearing it when they were playing in Baltimore. I think it was Boch that said, yeah, our offensive coordinator came up with a game plan, and our guys followed it to the letter. There's been a shift in how the Rangers do things. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the week. Their offensive coordinator, their hitting coaches, all their philosophy of let's get on top of the ball more. That's actually sounds sacrilegious. Let's try to hit more ground balls, get on top of high heat instead of trying to launch everything out. It's worked for them. And they're following it, and they believe, and they trust. That's a credit to CY. Yeah. That's a credit to Bruce Bochy.
And then the other part that I just, my brain just goes back to is if I just watched on the field and what happened with the Padres all season long, the struggles that they went through, the one team that they clearly were better than this year than when they went head-to-head was the Texas Rangers. Yeah. They swept the Rangers. They looked dominant against the Texas Rangers. Now, that was one. I could only say one thing for sure this year. The Padres definitely better than the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
And now the Rangers are, a step away from the World Series, and the Padres are not even in the playoffs. I just like things to make sense. I said this yesterday, and you can't always do it in sports, but does get me frustrated sometimes when I look at a situation and I go, I can't put my finger on what it is. And so much of this Padres season was, I know something's wrong, but I can't put my finger on it. And every time someone says, I know what it is, it's the clubhouse chemistry. It's Manny's leadership. It's Bob Melvin's managing. It's A.J. Preller's organizational structure. There's obviously some truth to all of those things, I think, at some point or another, but none of them are the answer. None of them are that's the answer. That's the right answer as to why the Padres struggled this year. It's not that easy. It's not that simple, and I think the Texas Rangers going from 68 wins to 90 wins kind of proves that it's never as easy as you think it is, because it doesn't always make sense in baseball.
No, it definitely doesn't. I mean, Tim Flannery said on my tweet last night, he's smart enough to get Boch and keep the nerd analytic crowd away from him. He warned the neighbors. That was the deal. I know that Bruce Bochy uses analytics. I do know that. He absolutely does. He probably also uses a lot of his gut and feel. And, again, in games like he's had in the postseason, he probably hadn't had to do much of anything. Just make sure you don't throw Aroldis Chapman in a high-leverage situation. Your job's done. That's it. Like, these guys are going out and getting the job done. Now, that's all the work that they've put into up to this point. Would Bruce Bochy have been able to turn this team around? I've got no idea.
I mean, I would say that of all the managers in baseball, Bob Melvin is as close to Bruce Bochy-like as you're going to get in
minus
terms
the
of
rings,
steadiness, communication. Obviously, not as much playoff experience as Boch has had, but playoff experience wasn't going to do Bob Melvin any good this year.
Fifth most playoff wins.
Fifth most. One of my favorite flubs.
Playoff wins of all time.
Right. Fifth most playoff wins
amongst managers.
But
so very few managers have more experience.
Bob did pretty well in the playoffs last year until I guess he didn't in the third round. But I mean, he got the Padres to the same level that Boch got the Rangers to in his first season.
Sure, and I will say, I mean, again, I saw people saying, well, the Rangers play old school baseball. Bro, they hit a ton of home runs. I mean, they hit the ball out of the ballpark too,
the Padres,
like the Padres do. They hit the ball out of the ballpark, so that helps. Again, teams that are out homering their opponents are winning at a staggering rate in the postseason. Teams that are bunting and playing small ball are not. They're just not. And so I understand recency bias, what you think you might be seeing. They're hitting the ball out of the ballpark. That's what they're doing, and that's how they're winning games. They're clubbing these other teams to death right now. And again, that's not a shot at Boch at all. He has not had to do much managing so far. Maybe the first game of the series, but other than that, man, his
They've been in
team,
control.
his team is locked in.
Yeah, your theory of getting those first ups and getting up early. Now, the Rangers didn't get the first ups, but the Orioles didn't score, and Rangers went ahead in the first inning on that Corey Seager blast, and then 5 runs in the second. It was 6-0. It was done.
And
same with the Astros. Right away, 4 runs in the first. Yeah, it was done. And by the way, home runs for the Astros as well. They had
100%.
4 more, and Yordan Alvarez is red hot right now. Great managing by Dusty Baker to make Yordan Alvarez the hottest hitter in baseball at this moment.
He called the home run play. Called it at just the right time. Pressed the home run button at the right time. Yeah. The being on the road, which is why I think the Dodgers will win tonight. I think they will score in the first off of Fott. And I think they'll take Arizona.
They had to.
out
We
again.
talked about that yesterday.
Yeah, they have
You've
to.
got Mookie, Freddie, Will Smith coming up against Fott. You go over 1, 2, 3 in the first inning. You're in
It's
trouble
tough,
now.
man.
Now you're in trouble.
Then everyone tightens up.
Because now they don't come up again until the 3rd or the 4th.
Yep.
You're giving the Diamondbacks like some chances to take the lead on you and really grab you by the throat in this series. So you have to score, I think, if you're the Dodgers in the first inning.
I couldn't agree more. And first licks, you always want to play at home, certainly in front of your home crowd. But when you get a chance to get those first knocks, man, and get those runs on the board, Sonny Gray, for as good of a pitcher as he is, he was done. I mean, 4 runs in the first is so deflating. It's so deflating for a team that's in there fighting for their lives. So when's that series continue? Today?
Today.
Okay. Whew, 3 today? 2.
3 games today. This is the last. I saw someone pointed out in the chat. Last day of the baseball year with 3 games. You will never have 3 again after today. 2 at the most. All right, all guests on Ben and Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. We got Take on Woods. Don't do this. Hour number 2 coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, 7 o'clock. It's Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
We really should have had that conversation on the air.
No, that was not a good on-air conversation. Adam
I thought it
Jones
was.
I thought it would have been
is
best conversation we've ever had, actually.
Adam Jones is moving on quickly. Did you see his tweet just a couple of moments ago?
No.
He's
Read it to
up.
me.
He's already back in Barcelona, according to Paulie. He says he's made his way back to Barcelona, and he already tweeted congratulations on a great season for the Baltimore Orioles. Just, hey, fine. You know what? Let's move on. Let's take the positive out of what happened. It's gonna sting for a while when you have a year like that and win 100 games and you don't even win one game in the postseason, though.
Yeah, agreed. And the thing is, and I'm seeing a lot of Orioles fans talking, and I think for good reason. If the Padres have shown you anything, number one, it's don't make cringe rap videos. That's number one. That's like our baseline.
Did the Orioles do that too?
No.
Okay, good.
But this is just for all baseball
Okay.
fans. Don't make rap videos. Unless you win the World Series, rap away. Have a ball. Turn into Kid Cudi right after you win a World Series. A legitimate World Series. Number two, Ben, what I just lost my train of thought. Number two is
What did we learn?
what did we learn? What was the point again?
I was saying AJ's tweet was what a great season by a great team.
There's
Can't
no
wait for next year.
guarantees that you'll get back.
I know
And
Birdland
that's-
is extremely proud of this bunch. Can't wait for next season. Yeah,
Right.
next season might not be a 100-win type year.
It's not promised to anyone,
No?
and we know it well. So take it from us. Don't make cringe rap videos, and do not expect to roll out of bed and go out and win 95, 100 games again.
Now,
Because it may not happen.
Maybe this was a step on the journey for the Baltimore Orioles.
We thought that last year was a step
Right.
on our journey. We added some pieces. We're going to be unbeatable. The Orioles fans now are finding themselves in the torture chamber because of what they did not do at the deadline. What they didn't do was make an offer for a Josh Hader. What they didn't do is make an offer for a Blake Snell. And again, when you saw what their starting pitchers did, outside of Kyle Bradish, who was okay, it was a really, really rough look. Kramer got lit up yesterday, and Mike Elias got a lot of credit this year for turning that team around. He's also in the chamber right now for not doing a thing really at the deadline to help his team out at all. And now there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee those young pitchers are going to stay healthy. There's no we've all seen sophomore slump type situations from young pitchers. There's just no guarantees. You have to strike while the iron's hot.
Remember, though, the Houston Astros progression as they get ready for perhaps
They did
the
it
seventh
right,
straight
man.
A. So they did it right, but they had that young season like the Baltimore Orioles did, where they made the playoffs before anyone expected it, and then the next year they took a step back and they missed the playoffs, and everyone was wondering, oh, maybe this is not the way to do it. And then what happened? The next year, they took off. They won their World Series title. They won another one. They have been very consistent. But sometimes there are stops and starts. Sometimes you jump up quickly and you take a step back. It's not always just the linear progression that we expect, and then you get the top of the mountain, and then you slowly drop down. It's not always like that. It's more unpredictable. Baseball is weirder that way. It's kind of the theme of what we've been talking about. Baseball is weird.
And the Phillies owner said it. He had that quote last year. At the end of the day, no one cares what Babe Ruth and the 27 Yankees made on their contracts. Like, they remember the championships, and that's what we're in this business to do. It's great if you can penny pinch your way to the division series. If you don't invest long term and try to help your guys, be smart. You're so smart about how you've built the organization. Get your guys what they need. And you heard, obviously, the Mariners players talking about it as well. Like, bro, look across the diamond. Look at these guys. Look what they did at the deadline, bringing in Montgomery, spending a ton of money. Like, we've got a core, yes, but we need some help from ownership. And the owners are like, we're raking in record profits, and this place is sold out every night. Why would we?
But
We're
maybe
gonna do what we have.
maybe the Mariners, after making the playoffs last year, take their step back. They take off next year.
Yeah, well, it's going to really depend on kind of what the moves that they make and the help that they get for some of the guys that are there right now in their good core. And I don't think it changes for Peter Seidler or AJ Preller. I think you still have to. Not only do you have holes to fill, you've got to find a way to improve. Obviously, on 82 wins.
Well, you've got to find a way to get more out of the players you already have. The Texas Rangers did that this year.
They did.
Guys like Adolis Garcia. he kind of came out of his jump up. Kind of came a little bit out of nowhere. You look at his numbers.
What were his numbers last year? Do you have a good season last year?
Let me see how he's progressed, because no one saw this coming. The kind of power numbers that he put up this year for the Rangers were, they can't have been part of the plan. So let me look at his stat line.
Well, it's funny. While you do that,
so he in 2022. He had 27 home runs last year. He jumped up to 39 this year, though.
Big jump.
That's a large jump. His slugging went from 450 to 508. He went from a 756 OPS player, which is it's not bad, but it's not bad, to an 836 player. He went from an okay, decent player to an all-star jump from last year to next year.
You know what else is impressive about what the Rangers have done? They've been able to overcome some of the, I would say, dumb moves that they've made and not let it absolutely torpedo their franchise. The Jacob deGrom deal was dumb. It was reckless. That's a reckless deal. Reckless. He gave you nothing, and it didn't bury you. It did not kill you at all. They overpaid for other players as well. Didn't bury him. Didn't kill him. Corey Seager was hurt. Didn't bury him. Didn't kill him. They had depth there to fill in when Corey Seager went down. Corey Seager, if you're the Dodgers, you're like, how the F did we let that guy and Bellinger, Yordan Alvarez, how do we trade that guy? They're not always the model for what exactly you want to do. They run a tight ship and they run a good ship.
Let Trey Turner go, and
exactly.
He powered the Phillies the second half of this season.
Yeah, so. It's just I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see what the Orioles do. And I feel terrible for them. I do, man. 100-win season is a great accomplishment, but to not scratch out a single win in the playoffs is a rough look.
All right, jump in now if you want to play Take on Woods, 833-288-0973. Coming up later on in the show, Adam Jones, as I mentioned, going to join us. Doug Glanville, looking forward to that conversation at 9 o'clock this morning, covering the MLB playoffs for ESPN. He's calling the Braves-Phillies series, which also resumes today in Philadelphia at Citizens Bank Park with Game 3. The schedule today, in case you are wondering, for your triple header of action, we've got the Braves-Phillies at 2:07, then the Astros and Twins at 4:07, and the Dodgers and Diamondbacks at 6:07. So you've got about an hour of overlap with every game, sort of, so you can't really watch all of them the way Woods likes, like one to the next of 9 hours of uninterrupted baseball. You're going to have to, but then again, if the Braves-Phillies game isn't good, in the sixth inning, you can switch it over, and the next game is going to be started.
What's the second game?
Second game's Astros-Twins at 4:07.
I want the
2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
I'm most invested in the first game and the third game.
The NL games.
Yeah, I feel like the Astros are going to I feel like they're just going to handle business today.
They're on the road. It's always tougher. Or Keedy. They
were on the road yesterday.
Yeah,
they scored 9 runs.
Good point.
Christian Javier, by the way, outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Great job by Dusty Baker, not completely just panicking, letting him get out of several jams. He was incredible.
Yeah. As was Evaldi was very good too.
Unbelievable. God, I'm so jealous, man. I just saw a tweet from a guy named Jimmy Gurecki. It says, Phil's play at 5 p.m. There are already people tailgating at 7 a.m. Wow. I'm so pissed, dude. I'm so mad.
That's what the Braves are walking into.
We got robbed.
That's 2 o'clock our time.
Because we could get off the air and just go hang and just be ready for a game tonight.
All right, Woods, off you go.
All right.
Get to it. It is time to play Take on Woods. All right, time to take on Woods. Take Woods on for Joe. Joe, you there?
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, Woodsy's left. You get to go first in our 5-question musical trivia challenge. If you can beat or tie Woods, you will qualify for our grand prize drawing 2-night getaway at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino and tickets to Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons at the International Theater. Get your tickets and VIP packages now at Ticketmaster.com and check out the Westgate's $70 million in room renovations. All right, your advantage is picking the category, and Woods doesn't get to know what's going on. Here are your choices, Joe. We've got your time is at the end. 5 song titles that end with the word time. Getting your Z's. Those are 5 artists with a name that begins with the letter Z. And we've got our mystery category that's back. You don't really get to know much about that one, but you get to choose any of those three. Your time is at the end, getting your Z's, or the mystery category, Joe?
So your time is at the end.
Your time is at the end. Okay, again, 5 song titles. What they all have in common is the last word of the title is time. You'll have 60 seconds to answer as many of the 5 as you can. Say pass if you don't know one. We will come back if there is time left on the clock at the end. We'll start with the 2-second song. I always like to remind everybody, you need to give me the song title that ends with time and the artist to score that point. You need both of them for the full point. So, Joe, are you ready to play?
Yeah, let's do it.
Paula, you got us queued up? All right, 60 seconds on the clock. The category, your time is at the end. Joe, good luck. Let's take on Woods.
Pass.
Suitcase of Memories is Cyndi Lauper's favorite line from which song on her debut album?
Time after time.
Correct. Considering it was their debut single, which 1977 Foreigner hit is perfectly titled.
Feels like the first time.
Correct. In a controversy from the late 80s, Cher recorded the music video for which song while wearing a thong aboard the battleship USS Missouri?
If I could turn back time.
Correct. In 1988, Poison sang Ain't Looking For What? How Can I Resist?
Pass.
Let's go back to our 2-second song. In 1988, Poison sang Ain't Looking For What? How Can I Resist?
Oh, I got it.
You got the 3, though. I'll let you think in case inspiration hits you, but time is up.
I don't know that
That's
3's going to do it.
Ain't Looking For Nothing But a Good Time by Poison, and that was Closing Time by Semisonic. Will Woods get those ones? You got Time After Time, Feels Like the First Time, and If I Could Turn Back Time. Cher could trip him up. All right, here he comes back. Joe's score is locked in. Joe, hang on the line. Woods doesn't get the category. See if he can figure it out. 60 seconds back on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Joe.
Closing Time by Semisonic.
Correct. Suitcase of Memories is Cyndi Lauper's favorite line from which song on her debut album?
Time After Time.
Correct. Considering it was their debut single, which 1977 Foreigner hit is perfectly titled?
Feels Like the First Time.
Correct. In a controversy from the late 80s, Cher recorded the music video for which song while wearing a thong aboard the battleship USS Missouri?
If I Could Turn Back Time.
Correct. In 1988, Poison sang Ain't Looking For What? How Can I Resist?
Ain't Looking For Nothing But a Good Time.
Oh, that's a 5 for 5 and a 5-3 win. Sorry, Joe. Woods got you today. In our category, your time is at the end.
I hope not.
Yeah, well, the song titles all ended with the word time.
Yeah, very good.
Very good, Woods. Very solid performance. Joe, you can try again later this month. No one qualifies today for the trip to Las Vegas. La Poison there?
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
I don't even want to talk over it. I like it that much.
I don't know if Dylan Brooks was looking for a good time last night in his Rockets preseason debut. It was a short
Some guys
time.
just don't get it, man.
It was a short time, that's for sure.
Hey, when in doubt,
don't do this.
when in doubt, just grab yourself a handful of dong. Just anytime you're in doubt, just grab some dong and be on your way.
This segment of Ben and Woods brought to you by the Golf Mart. We'll be back after traffic. Don't do this next on 97.3 The Fan.
Get you a handful of it. Just grab it.
The Upper Hand Fantasy Podcast brings you the latest news and player insights to help you win and avoid any embarrassing league punishments. Did you win this last week?
I did.
Good. Congratulations. You get in-depth analysis, start-sit questions, everything you need for your fantasy team. Just download Upper Hand Fantasy on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast. And thanks to your victory in fantasy football, you get to go first on Don't Do This.
Oh.
Actually, they're unrelated.
Fantastic.
Go ahead.
James Franklin, head coach of the Penn State Nittany Lions, had an interesting press conference. We always love the bad question, and you know why I love it? Because I've done it. I totally can sympathize. I've asked mushmouth, longly worded, rambling questions.
There are multiple ways the question receiver can handle it. You can pretty much kind of ignore it, just answer it, as best as you can.
Yeah.
Just kind of, all right, well, it wasn't worded, but this is probably what you were trying to say. Let me explain the best I can.
Generic,
Or just
cliche.
just
You
generic it up.
can just give a kind of quick cliche answer. You can do kind of the old move on, or
Then go make fun of him in your office.
Yeah, or you can
point out
and you can absolutely
the question,
ruin the guy's life. It was a bad question. I'm gonna, and I've got a follow up to it that I just saw. But here's the. Do we have the question in there as well,
I got
Paul?
the full exchange here.
The question from a reporter named Corey Geiger, talking to James Franklin, head coach of the Penn State Nittany
Hey, good
Lions.
afternoon, James.
Hey, Corey.
A follow-up to what you were just asked there about Drew. Is there a balance, though, between, hey, we need you to throw the ball deep no matter – just take a shot. Don't overthink it. Take a shot. We need to see it. We're going to call it. And we need you to get some confidence in doing this as opposed to even giving a young quarterback the chance to say, hey, just check it down if it's not there.
I don't really understand what you're saying because we would never my skin is curling when you say just drop back and chuck it deep no matter what. Like that is like I don't even know what you're saying. It's like you're speaking like from
just
Mars.
Just send a guy in a post pattern. Take the shot, throw it.
No matter what.
Give your receiver a chance to make a play on a ball, even if he might be covered 30 yards down the field. Maybe you think he'll be open 45 yards down the field, and like Godwin did, or with Jahan or KJ.
I still don't like. You're speaking Japanese.
God.
We have never done that. Just throw the ball up, and maybe he'll be open, and maybe he'll catch. Like my skin is you're making me uncomfortable. Like I don't know what you're talking about. So
okay.
we would not do that. We would never do that.
Corey Geiger digging a
We've
hole.
never thought about doing that as a head coach, as an offensive coordinator, as a receivers coach. I coached the receivers. I didn't want them to do that.
He's really going down hard.
So no, strong no, yeah.
Okay, so he just drags him
That's
over
great.
and over.
No, strong
over.
no. Yeah. No.
So no.
So Corey Geiger.
Strong
No.
no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no.
I need that drop whenever I want to say no to Woods. Like no, strong no. Like
No.
yeah.
No. Strong no. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No.
It's fantastic. Corey Geiger has come out on Twitter and said, I asked a bad question to James Franklin. No doubt. I own it.
I
Hold
get
on,
what
let me
he's
finish
saying.
this.
Okay.
This is crazy. Idea was sound, and I think it was. I kind of know what he was
He's saying
asking.
they're dinking and dunking a
Yeah,
lot.
you're playing check down
Is there ever
football.
going to
You're
take
gonna
a chance
move
and
the
move it
ball down the
downfield?
field.
That's what he's looking for.
He said, idea was sound. I worded it very poorly. I've tried to roll with the criticism, but when people message me saying I should kill myself or that they wish I would actually get murdered, that's difficult. It's just football. He said James Franklin murdered that idiot reporter who was me. That's fine. I didn't word my question great. Doesn't change the fact that Penn State's offense has some major issues with throwing the ball deep. The key stats and analysis here. He it's tough. I mean, that's tough. It's not the worst question I've ever heard. Ever. I mean, it's
It was
not the
just
worst.
digging down. It was just, you know what? Just acknowledge where this is going.
And
move
James
on.
Franklin didn't have to.
He didn't have to
so thoroughly
scold
embarrass
him.
the guy
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, I think that's a bad look on the coach.
I'm like, my skin is curling.
Skin doesn't curl.
Hair curls.
Yeah, it crawls. Your skin is crawling.
Well, it doesn't
Like,
really
my
crawl.
skin
Metaphorically.
is
right.
curling.
Wow. It's bad. I feel bad for Corey Geiger.
Like, you're making me uncomfortable. Like,
uncomfortable. You're making me
like,
uncomfortable.
you're making me uncomfortable.
Sounds like the font. You're making me uncomfortable. Go ahead, Benjamin.
All right, we'll go to the NBA preseason, where it did not take long for Dylan the Villain, as he's now being referred to, Dylan Brooks, who, of course, remember, got into it with the Lakers in the postseason last year with the Memphis Grizzlies.
Best picture in NBA history.
Was ejected for a flagrant foul in Game 3 of that series.
You know how Jerry West is the logo of the NBA? It should be Dylan Brooks in the tucked in. That should be the new logo of the NBA. Dylan Brooks in the tucked in Under Armour tank top. That's the new logo.
And so his first game, he gets signed and traded. They need to just get rid of Dylan Brooks. So they send him to the Houston Rockets. First preseason game, first 5 minutes. It's 7 minutes, 30 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Is someone on the Indiana Pacers, center Daniel Tice, tries to set a screen. And instead of going, around the screen, kind of goes between the legs with his left hand, like surreptitiously, like thinking he's going to get away with it.
Grabs it.
Tice reacts as most gentlemen do in that situation, wincing in agony. Referees call the foul, go to the replay, get to the nice clear shot on many camera angles of what Dylan Brooks did, and in his first preseason game, he gets ejected in the first 5 minutes for a flagrant foul.
He was giving him the business.
Yeah.
He was giving him the business, grabbed a handful of wiener.
Brooks
on his
says
way by.
he didn't mean to strike Tice, chalked the ejection up to his reputation.
Right.
He says, I tried to navigate a screen. I might have tapped him below the waist, but he got right back up. I don't know. It's weird that every time it happens to me, I get picked on. I guess it's part of reputation.
It's fantastic.
What's the name? What's my name? My name is Dylan the Villain, so I guess.
And then for do this, Ben and Paul.
He was giving him the business.
Yeah, giving him the business.
DD Mega Doo-Doo.
I really have been enjoying, and I'm not the only one. The reviews are in for Adam Wainwright in the booth calling, being, color type analyst for Major League Baseball on Fox. He's been great, and I will admit I didn't think he would be that great.
Makes me mad sometimes because, we are in a profession where we've studied and practiced our craft for years and years.
Right.
So I kind of tried to.
Right.
When a guy like Adam Wainwright comes in, like day one,
and just crushes
pretty good at it already.
Yeah.
It diminishes everything else the rest of us are trying to do.
No, I just look at it as he's got the experience. He's got so much experience.
Yeah.
If you could try to explain to me, Ben, the difference between a sweeper and a slider, and I would laugh at you. Adam Wainwright does it, and here's what I loved about it. It was so refreshing, and I tweeted it yesterday. Wait, so he actually explained it instead of just making fun of the name?
They both start with S and end with R, but there's different letters in between.
So it's more than just making fun of the name and saying that the pitch doesn't exist. He actually took the time to explain it to the audience.
of what it means exactly.
Well, a slider is going to break traditionally 8-9 inches horizontally, right? A sweeper, they call it a sweeper because on average it's breaking 12 to 14. Now, Sonny's actually slides a little bit more than that. On average, it's sliding 15.5 inches right to left. So it's a big...
Altuve hits it hard but pulls it foul.
It's a big breaking pitch. And the difference in a sweeper and a slider, let's see if I can get there. Okay. When you throw a slider, you're going to see a red dot, and it's going to be towards the bottom left of the ball. That means it's going down. A sweeper, when you throw the sweeper, when you come through, there's some science behind this. This seam right here, if you can see, this seam has to be pointed in the right direction, and it's kind of angled up and to the right. And when that catches the air halfway through, that's when it starts really taking off right to left. And what happens is it just moves more than a hitter's eyes think it's moving.
I will say, first of all, I pointed this out on Twitter. The ability to already pause when the pitch is happening in case the play-by-play announcer needs to make a call, something happens.
Very aware.
He's he was coached well or has become very aware very early. The ability to, translate into words a complex technical explanation, pretty good right there. You got a little into the weeds, but that's a pretty darn good explanation of what he's trying to accomplish there in describing a pitch.
And it's a baseball player that likes baseball. It's really refreshing to not have to hear, man, back in my day, we called that a blah, 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 and this is there's no such thing. It's like, this is how you help people understand. This is how you help grow the game. Not naming any names, Sean Smoltz, but there's some guys that could take a page from what Wayno's done in a very, very short time as a color commentator. I thought he was brilliant, and I really enjoy him on the microphone. I thought he was great.
And that's Don't and Do This for a Wednesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, when we come back, are Major League Baseball's postseason champagne-soaked celebrations becoming too much?
For who?
All of us. For me. For Scott Lewis, our friend from the Voice of San Diego, who tweeted this, and I had thought this myself, so I was nodding in agreement.
No fun police have
you
arrived.
Disagree. We'll talk about it coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station. It's Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. I've got my sirens on. I am pulling you over.
Officer Ben.
The fun police is issuing citations this morning here on Ben and Woods. 740 here on 97.3 The Fan. Baseball fans, by the way, for behind-the-scenes coverage of the 2023 MLB's postseason, check out Baseball Isn't Boring. Host Rob Bradford brings you the biggest news from around the league each day. Follow Baseball Isn't Boring on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast. I guess Rob would like all the champagne-soaked celebrations that we're seeing in the postseason. They've become de rigueur. Is that how you say that? Like, just it's like is it Latin? It's like
I've
just
never heard that.
Commonplace, essentially. There's almost nothing special about them anymore.
Tell that to the play.
Series winning champagne-soaked celebration.
So let's get your rules in place for when it's okay.
All right, well,
to
let me start with the tweet that we got. So our friend Scott Lewis from the Voice of San Diego tweeted out essentially last night about, I had been thinking this for a while. So this is not like the first time it has crossed my mind. But he said, I've got it called up right here. All right, he said, there's the sound of it. This is the dumbest part of Major League Baseball. Come on, you won the quarterfinal of a tournament. I know it's an exciting moment, but the whole planned and staged alcohol spray party with goggles is so dorky. And there was a video of Max Scherzer and Austin Hedges just spraying and dousing each other with champagne and beer, and Hedges is, chugging champagne, and then Scherzer just double fist beers all over him. And yeah, they won what is essentially the quarterfinal stage of a month-long tournament and got to the semifinal stage of said tournament by winning their series and advancing to the ALCS.
That is their 167th game they've played,
right.
not counting spring training.
Right.
Not counting sim games, not counting scrimmages and whatnot. That's 167 games.
But they also did it after their 164th game
Sure.
when they won the wild card series. And they did it after their 161st game when they clinched their playoff spot to begin with. So that's their third partying champagne celebration in a span of 6 games when you still have to win 8 more to win a World Series.
So
I'm with Ben. I think it's a little overkill.
I love it. I think it's great because
okay, let's pause for traffic here.
Okay.
And then I'll get to my rules because I have some. The fun police always has fun rules.
That's
right?
why they have rules.
So I will issue my fun police rules right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Tannick.
Traffic is sponsored by Lowe's. Guys, it's been kind of a troubled coastline ride this morning. Southbound at 5, just past the Aliso Creek Rest area, overturned tanker. Got the 2 right lanes blocked. Emergency crew is trying to upright that. So they issued a traffic alert at southbound at 5 past the Aliso Creek Rest area. And on the northbound at 5, getting reports of a collision right before the 78. It's over the right shoulder. Up ahead, collision partially blocking the Oceanside Boulevard off-ramp. Again, that's northbound 5. Northbound side of the 15 near Valley Parkway, there is a collision. Does not appear to be blocking lanes. Several vehicles involved. Lowe's knows fall is the perfect time for outdoor projects. Right now, you can keep your yard looking its best and save. Take care of leaves with leaf blowers starting at just $89.98. Lowe's knows home improvement. While supplies last. See store for details. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Maybe I sound like I'm getting a little bit older in my late 40s, but if there's something I think young people today enjoy, it's well-organized frivolity that has a good boundary and limit set on the kind of fun you should be having. No problem with champagne celebrations when you clinch a playoff spot after 6 months of working to get into the postseason. Let your hair down, you clinch that playoff spot. I think that's a great time to celebrate.
Rage.
Yes. Now, if you then clinch the division title, like you clinch the wild card one day, and you clinch the division title 2 or 3 days later, you don't need to do it again for the same essentially thing. You're still in the playoffs. You're just changing your seeding at that point. That's not worthy of another champagne-soaked celebration.
Says who? That's a
says
big
me.
deal.
Says me.
That's a big
Now,
deal winning your division.
If you are confident you're going to win your division, you can forego the wild card celebration, the clinching of the playoff spot, in favor of the later division clinching celebration. You may have that authority to swap out your regular season celebrations, but you get one regular season celebration. Then, if you happen to win the 2 out of 3 wild card games necessary to advance to the next round, that's just moving on. That's just business as usual. That's great. You did your job. You moved on to the division round. You got to a level that 4 teams just automatically buy it into. What about those 4 teams? Should they be throwing, we just got to buy into
They did. They threw a party when
So when they clinch the division, that would be a second one. And then if they clinch a top 2 seed, they should get another one.
Let me ask you a question. The overarching question. Why do you give an F?
Well, first of all,
it's not like you're paying for the champagne. I get it.
Someone
I
is.
can't be writing these checks for all this Cook's
champagne. I mean, are you sure?
Cooks
it's just,
and Budweiser. Like, what are we talking about here?
I just think it's
$300?
more. I think it's kind of a dumb look.
I do too. I agree
think
with Paul.
it's like rushing the field when you're the number 8 team and you beat the number 6 team. Like, you're a top 10 team. Don't rush the field.
And then
it's business as usual.
Then the division series, which is also a shorter series, and a quarterfinal, as Scott points out. Nope, they're not doing the champagne celebration for that.
The season is so long.
And you did get your champagne
It's
celebration
so
when you clinched the long playoff clinching celebration less than probably a week or 2 before.
I get mad at my wife for wanting to do massive celebrations
the
for
NBA
half
season's
birthday.
just as long, not as
it's
many
not
games.
even close to just as long. Not
Yes,
even
it is.
close.
It's 6 months.
They don't.
Of
Yeah,
season.
in the
It's
NBA
82 games compared to 162. It's half.
And they celebrate when they clinch a playoff spot in the NBA.
What's an
I believe they
NBA
celebrate.
game? 2 hours?
But they don't.
Max?
They don't celebrate every series win.
An
When
MLB game's 2.5 hours.
when the Lakers beat the Trailblazers in the first round, they're not soaking each other with champagne to get to the second round of the NBA postseason. And now that the baseball playoffs are longer, they need to understand it's more like the basketball and hockey playoffs. It's not that special to just get to the second round of the playoffs. I will allow that if you win
68 games, and I know all teams do it, but we're talking about the Rangers. He tweeted about the Rangers. This is the Rangers thing. You won 68 games last year. Then you came out and you won your division, or you didn't win your division, or whatever.
You didn't win your division. But you celebrated clinching a playoff spot. I think it was the second to last day of the season.
You just swept a 100-win team out of the playoffs, swept them, and now you're going into the ALCS. Celebrate your balls off. That's what I say.
Like, dude, there's still work to be done.
So listen,
I think it doesn't bother me. Like, the celebration
sounds like it bothers both of you guys.
I think it's a dumb look, but it doesn't really bother me. I'm not going to.
Now, I will say
this.
this. My caveat to it is, if there was a team that said, no, we're not, let's make an agreement, guys. We're not doing anything other. We will celebrate getting into the playoffs, and we will celebrate when we win the World Series. I would actually think, ooh, that's pretty dope. That means they're focused and locked in.
I would switch it a little bit. I think, even though I totally am fine with made the playoffs, let's celebrate, I kind of like the just walk off the field into the clubhouse, business as usual. The job's just starting now. I would say it's you win the pennant, you win the World Series, you get.
I will allow if you win the ALCS or NLCS, qualify for the World Series. I'm okay with that. You've won a league. You won an entire league at that point. That's a banner. That's a championship that goes up, even if you don't win the World Series. Celebrate that one. Ken points out, hey, did you not enjoy watching all of our team super happy after beating the Dodgers?
Bro, I was right down there, trust me.
Last year. And it was
awesome. Are you guys insane? You were there. We got the best clip of all time that exists.
It's extra sweet because it was against the Dodgers.
So we shouldn't have celebrated beating the Dodgers.
Might they have been better off with less celebration and just, focusing on the Phillies that are coming up right after that? I don't think it is either, but
the hangover was so great.
Yeah, it might have been. Don't discount. I don't know if it was the champagne. I doubt that, but the emotional catharsis of beating the Dodgers and how big that was. You're telling me it didn't have any effect on the next series against the Philadelphia Phillies?
Probably did.
There's not a bit of a letdown. I think there might be, and I think a celebration only enforces. If your team is potentially susceptible to that letdown, that celebration is only going to make it worse going forward. Whereas, as you said, that business-like, let's move on.
I think it would be dope if somebody did that, if they were like, yeah, we'll celebrate when we hoist the World Series trophy. because that celebration would be the absolute sweetest. I think
Would
that'd be a
last for
cool
a week.
move. I think it would be a hard-ass move, but I certainly don't mind it. Now, if you want to make the case for... If you want to make the case for Austin Hedges and Max Scherzer celebrating as hard as they did, that one I can get behind. Guys really contributed less than nothing, honestly. So
let me sign my name on the group project.
So like, I get it, glue guy, but I would feel weird. I would feel weird if it were me. I would. And he's been in the league a long time. Again, he's got a lot of games under his
partake
belt.
with everybody, but to lead the circle, lead the group.
I will defend in saying that if everyone is spraying champagne, there's no like right level of moderately spraying people with champagne. Well, I didn't do much, so maybe I'll just gently spray one or two people
you
and
have
not
your
really
cup of
get
beer.
into the
You
champagne
can party, but
celebration.
to be the ringleader when you just got there and you don't do anything. It's kind of weird.
If you want, that's one I'll listen to.
I mean, I saw Padres fans very unhappy about smashing piñatas for regular season wins this year. But then I also heard that the Padres didn't do enough team building things like that, and why did they stop? They needed to do more of that over the course of the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's calling you guys out for last year. Paulie was down there.
Trust me, it was awesome.
Of course, I wanted that moment. They needed that moment. They absolutely needed that moment. Beating that team, with that team of all teams with 111 wins. I mean, if that's not worthy of a celebration, I don't know what is. I really don't know what is. My late great father-in-law told my wife, celebrate everything. So I try to live by that. Now, I do get mad at her when she says, it's my half birthday today. I'm like, I'm not celebrating your half birthday. That is where I draw that's my line. Half birthdays... Great, you're halfway to 35. Like, who cares? It's a day on the calendar. Birthday, different. I've learned to, celebrate a little bit more than I used to. But this is such a grind. Let's ask Adam Jones. We talked to him at 8:35. I think you have to, and also, you know how good that is for a squad to be able to do that together, all in the same room. You feel like you're on the same page. You feel like you're on the right track. The chemistry, the bonding, the getting drunk together, whatever it may be. The spraying each other down. Have a ball, I say.
Seems like the vocal people in our chat are all against me on this one, but I trust that the silent majority out there is just nodding and saying, you're absolutely right, Ben. There's too much fun in the baseball playoffs.
Eric says, I thought it was weird when the Padres were doing it after the Mets last year. It's not. It's not weird at all. Like
I thought it was weird after the Mets, too.
This team has been terrible. And you just went in and you beat Scherzer and Bassett, and you had this great performance after a season that was a little bit hanging in the balance, and you were able to go into New York and win those games. Like, celebrate. Absolutely.
Yeah, Padres had 3 last year, technically.
Yeah.
They lost to the White Sox, but they clinched.
They clinched.
A playoff spot.
Life is so short. It's so short. Have as much fun as you can. And if you think, and I do think there's something about celebrating with your team that's great. That's great. I think it's fantastic. Not going to hurt you. I mean, unless the celebration doesn't stop, the 86 Mets celebrated after every win, and we know how they celebrated. They went on to win the World Series that year. So
I'm going to try to speak for Ben and guys like Scott Lewis who felt the same way. I think it's the organized, bring out the boxes of beer, the goggles, the taping up the locker room.
Maybe more organic.
If they just came in and were hyped, like nobody's saying they need to come off the field
that's a good point, Paul.
with a dead look on their face, like nope, not happy at all, not showing any emotions. Turn on the music, party, play.
I appreciate
it's the staged celebration.
Yeah, you guys get mad.
I appreciate that philosophy that you just said. Celebrate everything. It's actually it's good, but then do you really celebrate? I mean, you're going to win, hopefully, 90 games. I mean, how hard do you celebrate every single one of those?
Regular season's different. It's different. You can't. The regular season is one where you can't get too high, you can't get too low. But after you,
why is that not apply? What does that not apply in the playoffs?
In the actual games,
don't get too high or too
after
low.
After it's over and you win, celebrate.
But it's not
what you
over.
Just,
this is my point.
It's stepping stones. Stepping stones.
Yeah, but it's not like you're going to get 2 weeks off to start over. You're probably playing in a day or two again, another game.
So what are you worried about? A hangover?
No, I'm not really. Well, isn't that why you're just saying you don't celebrate every regular season game that way?
It's about the mentality of we've got 80 more games to go. You don't rage after every win.
But you still do when you've got possibly 14 more games to go, which the Rangers do.
After you knock a team out and they're done and they're packing their stuff and going home, that's when we've moved on. We're going to the LCS. Let's rage for one night. 15 minutes, Levi Weaver said it was. 15-minute celebration. That's it. Who cares? I think it's great.
Everyone seems to agree with you.
Are you guys mad at Bo that he got a participation trophy last? You guys are those guys now. I work with participation trophy guys now.
It's not who
He didn't graduate preschool.
It's not
There's
who
no
is
diploma.
celebrating.
There's no diploma for preschool. This is garbage. What'd you get a trophy for? You don't even keep score. I work with those guys now.
Theoretically, though, you could then have...
You can take them to Disneyland after every book report?
You could have 6 champagne celebrations on your way to a World Series title.
Who cares? That's the
Seems like a
dream.
lot.
That's the dream. Eric says, I love eyewash. They love eyewash. I'm down to celebrate. Rage. Have a ball. That's the eyewash.
All right, I'll guess some Meadow Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet find new roads. You want to call us? 833-288-0973.
These Just got a text from my wife. Bo is crying because Uncle Ben and Uncle Paul don't think he really graduated from preschool, and that his trophy that he earned for T-ball didn't really mean anything because they didn't keep score. So he's devastated. So I hope you guys are both very happy. He's thrown it away and said he
Act
looks
like you've been there before.
He looks forward to winning what he called a real trophy. He called his trophy a Mickey Mouse trophy. And he said Uncle Ben and Uncle Paul have ruined my day. Now he's probably going to stay home from school again, which means I have to watch him.
You know what? There are some people who just hate fun.
Yes.
And I'm not one of them. But I like fun to mean something. And when I just did the quick math. So with 12 playoff teams who now all celebrate when they clinch and maybe a division title, and then we got 4 more wild card celebrations, and now 4 division and 2. By the time you're said and done, we're around 30 champagne celebrations.
Awesome.
By the time you get to the World Series. Does everyone appreciate? Will Bo appreciate like I don't want to say the real accomplishments, but there are certain accomplishments that are definitely worth more than others. Winning a World Series is worth more than winning a wild card series.
Sure.
Can you really can you go that much harder on your World Series? Because I can't.
The answer is absolutely
Max Scherzer
yes.
and Austin Hedges look like they were celebrating as hard as you possibly can celebrate.
I mean,
I don't know that
he didn't have to do anything.
I don't know that you can go harder than that in a champagne celebration.
Yeah, he didn't have to do anything.
Without like causing seriously bodily harm to someone, or
He loves to
potentially
celebrate, as you know.
endangering people's lives. That's about as hard as you can go. Save something for
what?
Save
He's
something
not
for the
doing
next
anything.
round.
Guys, come on.
No, you know what? I think the Padres should just sign like a $30 million deal with Budweiser. That'll pay for a year of Blake Snell, bring him back. Just rage after every win.
Fine.
Have fun. Celebrate.
Yeah, someone
Get the
pointed
goggles
out. Yeah, they're sponsored by the goggle companies and
Oakley.
Budweiser. Paul said that makes it worse. now it really feels
Now
just
they have
corporate.
to.
Now
They're
it's just
like,
corporate.
oh.
Oh no, we don't want to celebrate. Well, we're actually contractually obligated to spray you with some Budweiser before
I just
the
want to
end.
grab
of
my stuff. Nope, we
Yeah,
got to tape
no.
up your locker.
This is pretty great. This mailman Rob actually makes a really good point. He goes, imagine being Mike Trout and only getting to spray champagne once in your Hall of Fame career. Celebrate every round because you never know if you'll be back. It's so true. I mean, if I'm a player on those teams,
We should pop bottles after every time.
When do we
Mike Trout gets a
celebrate,
base
then?
hit? Because tomorrow's not promised.
well,
anybody.
that's absurd. Now you're being absurd.
No, but when should we celebrate? I mean, why is it just baseball players or sports teams that get to do this?
No one's stopping you. We celebrate all the time. We celebrate all of our victories.
But not with champagne?
No,
and
not with champagne. We have to
spraying-
work.
Well,
To
so
work.
do they.
I've got kids.
They-
They got a couple
they-
days off. They've earned those days off by sweeping.
So every Friday, because we have Saturday and Sunday off, we tape up the studio.
You guys are being
and we have a good
absolutely-
week, and we spray each other with champagne.
You are being ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Just kind of what's going on in baseball now.
It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't affect you in the slightest. Not even in the if you don't like what you're seeing on TV, just turn it off. Just like on this radio program. If you don't like it, you just turn the channel. You don't have to reach out and tell me I suck. I know I suck. You don't have to tell me. Just turn the channel. That's it. It's not hard. It doesn't affect. My dream is to have 5 or 6 champagne celebrations for the San Diego Padres because that means you're, on the way to glory. It's wild. It's wild to me. I think it's great. I think it's fun. The guys have fun. And again, it really hits home for me. You never know when you're going to get an opportunity to be back there to win and go to the LCS or to go to the World Series or to even clinch a division. You never know if you're ever going to have that chance again. Ever. Mike Trout has had one shot at it. Mike freaking Trout has had one shot at spraying champagne. That's why you do it, I think.
You want to take a couple of calls? Yeah. I feel like I'm going to keep wearing this. 833-288-0973.
There's a lot of people on your side. There's a lot of people on your side.
Let's go. We got Mike. Welcome to Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Good morning.
Morning. Happy October to everybody.
You too, buddy.
And I just want to remind you guys, they don't do the celebrations in any other sport except baseball. So something to think about. But having said that, I think the Dodgers are an example of a team that celebrated after winning the division by 20 games, and look where they're at right now, 1 game away from elimination. So it's just something to think about going forward. I think it's a little bit overkill, but as Paulie said, it doesn't bother me, but it's kind of a lame look anyway.
Is it?
But
I mean, I'll be fair. When you have 12 playoff teams and they're all champagne celebrating, 11 of them you'll have the argument, well, I guess you shouldn't have celebrated. But the one that wins will have also celebrated every level. So you can't really blame the champagne celebration. Someone will get through the champagne celebrations and win a World Series and get to do it one last time. That is true. That is the nature of the postseason.
Scott says team advances, then unfortunately gets knocked out in the next round. Per Ben, the team would never have gotten a chance to celebrate.
No, you get to celebrate clinching the playoff spot to begin with. A very worthy accomplishment, definitely worth celebrating.
Yeah.
You earned that. You won at least probably 87, if not more games to get there over a very long season. Part of me says if you just win 2 more then, is that worthy of the exact same celebration that an 87-win celebration is worth?
Somebody was right in the chat too, and they said people do celebrate on Fridays after a long work week. They go out and they drink 70 beers, and they blow it out.
Again, I think don't take the words wrong. Like, it's not no celebrations. It's not turn the music off, get that smile off your face.
Yeah, it's just maybe the setup of the.
I would hope the Aztecs or any basketball team is happy after every single win. You don't have to cut down the nets for every single round that you advance.
Celebrate. Just maybe less alcohol spraying with every celebration.
So it's the alcohol now, or what if it was apple juice?
Yeah, just no liquid spraying at all.
Okay. What about solids? Like you can just do like peanuts. Throw peanuts at everyone.
Might be easier to clean. Let's go to Tanner. You're next up here on 97.3 The Fan. Good morning, Tanner. Anything to add to this conversation?
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good,
buddy.
Mike Trout. I mean, if he wins next season, makes it to the playoffs, and he has his champagne celebration, I mean, what's the end goal then? If he never wins a World Series, is he stoked with those champagne celebrations, making it to the playoffs, making it past the wild card?
I mean, it's a moment for him because he's just never in the playoffs. So I think people deserve their moments, certainly. Now, Mike Trout has like $400 million to lay his head on at night, so he's fine. But for him to be, wouldn't it be cool to see him if the Angels somehow found a way to go out and win the West next year, which looks very dicey? They go out and win the West, and to see Mike Trout celebrating for 15 minutes, guys. You know what I mean? Like 15 minutes in the thing. Like, all right, now we're on to the whoever. I think that's a cool moment. And there's a lot of, like you said, a lot of these guys will never get back there.
It's a little arbitrary as well that we decide it's the playoffs. I mean, some teams that were like expected to win a ton of games but just sneak into the playoffs, should they be celebrating as hard? Like the Cincinnati Reds had a really good season. They finished above 500. No one was thinking they'd do anything. They didn't get any champagne celebrations at all because they didn't make the playoffs. They may have deserved one at the end of that season. I don't know if it would have been a good look.
Yeah, that'd be a weird one.
They got a winning record. No one thought they'd be there. They took a real big step forward and had a really good season this year. I don't know. I mean,
all I know is as a Padres fan, I want it. I want all of them. Give me as many in the playoffs. In the playoffs is my caveat. I thought the piñata parties were a bit much. I do. I said it at the time. But there are things that you can do that, like, you don't mind when a guy hits a bomb and they put a gladiator mask on his head, right? Why? It's just a home run. Act like you've been there before. I think it's awesome. Hitting a home run is massively hard. I think it's cool. Brings the team together. Polaroids, brings the team together, allegedly. I think all that stuff's great, fun for the game.
I agree with that. I do agree with that.
I'm certainly not gonna bash guys for having a blast after the mental strain that those series have to be, going up against Grayson Rodriguez, Kyle Bradish, the best in the best in the world. It's like, oh God, all right, we got through them. Now we have our 15 minutes, then we refocus and we get ready for the Astros or the Twins. I think it's necessary.
I don't think that they are over celebrating and really damaging themselves going forward. I just think that maybe they're cheapening some of the celebrations by doing the same thing over and over again. Maybe we come up with different celebrations, really cool ones, but
maybe you get a mime in.
Maybe the wild card celebration
a clown comes in, the
different
magician.
than the World Series.
All right, everyone, bring it around.
I would love that.
He's
That would
like,
be fun.
What card am I thinking of? 6 of clubs. You got it.
Well,
Look at this.
Now it's like David Blaine style magicians that are coming in doing.
Watch me saw this guy in half after a big series
If
win.
you don't think Austin Hedges does magic tricks in the clubhouse,
What about
you're sorely mistaken.
What about a guy who does impressions? You get like
Jay Moore comes in to do his Christopher Walken. I'm down with it. I just think it's such a grindy. Dude, fantasy camp's a grind. I can't even imagine 162. I can't, and neither can you in your car.
And again, I'm not saying that 160. I'm not saying they're all not worthy of some celebration. Why do they always have to be the same champagne spraying every single time? Let's mix it up. Let's come up with some new celebrations for postseason series. Then,
okay,
let's try something different. I like your idea of a magician coming in and celebrating with the team.
I'd be
after
so
winning the
pissed
wild
if I was
card
on a team.
series.
Guys, we've decided to do away with the champagne and the beer. We have brought in local mime, and he's going to mime some stuff for you. If you'd like to hang
He's
out.
trapped in a playoff box, and he gets his way out, and he climbs out, just like you did, into the next round of the postseason.
I hate this whole conversation.
It's metaphorical.
So I'm like, I shouldn't be this upset about it, but I am upset. You've made me upset.
All right. Well, we've got something to chew on as we come up. Adam Jones is going to join us at the bottom of the hour.
Mike Trout, that example, like, well, maybe don't sign a lifelong contract with one of the worst teams in baseball if you really wanted. You know what I mean?
It's
He's
fair.
had plenty of opportunities to move on.
It's fair. It's fair.
All right. I don't think I want to talk about this anymore.
I don't even want to ask Adam Jones
taking
about
my
it.
L's, but
Yeah, pizza party. How about that? Like Little League.
I love pizza party celebrations.
Everyone to the hut. Here we go. Pizza Hut. All
If they
you can
came
eat.
into the clubhouse and there were like 30 pizzas stacked on top of each other after winning the wild card series, I am totally in. There's nothing better than a stack of pizza boxes waiting for you after something cool. I mean, I love that.
So good. I like it. I like it a lot.
All right, we'll come back. Ben and Woods, we got Adam Jones coming up at the bottom of the hour. Doug Glanville is going to join us at 9 o'clock. So some good guests ahead talking baseball and more on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Let's check track here with Kelly. postseason celebrations, but we actually had a preseason celebration last night. I was watching on ESPN as the Vegas Golden Knights celebrated their Stanley Cup title with a banner raising at what is their arena called? T-Mobile Arena?
T-Mobile Arena.
Oh my God. They turned that place into, it feels like a playoff type show every single night. They brought out this giant slot machine and they pulled the handle and it came up Stanley Cup, Stanley Cup, Stanley Cup, and the banner like raised out as like the jackpot from the slot machine.
They do it right, man.
They had they have the siren. The owner like they turn it like manual crank it, and the siren goes off for the whole crowd. They have turned hockey into theater almost in Las Vegas, and they sell out every game. The atmosphere seems to be incredible what they're doing, and they're also backing it up with a great team that won a championship last season. So, I mean, if you want to be the argument that partying is a good thing, look at Las Vegas and what they've been doing with their hockey team, because the Vegas Golden Knights, that is a party every single night.
They do it right, man. They do it right. It's such a good presentation, and again, only helped by the fact that they actually win and won the Stanley Cup, which is insane.
Yeah, I watched some of the game last night. I assume they won. They got out to a 3-0 lead in the time that I was watching early against the Seattle Kraken. Yeah. Or Kraken. Kraken. There's a bar in Encinitas called the Kraken.
Yes, they call it the Kraken.
But it's the Kraken is what the team is in Seattle. So one way or another, but they did end up winning that game 4-1 last night. Had 3 games. Connor Bedard, the number 1 pick, made his debut for the Chicago Blackhawks, and just 18 years old, had an assist, so got his first point in his NHL career and a win over the Pittsburgh Penguins as well. So, yeah, the NHL season is officially underway right now, which means fall is upon us.
Yes, it is.
The fall-winter season. The NBA schedule starts here in a couple of weeks as well.
My favorite time of year. Yeah. Basketball, Ben. It's fun, though, because I get to check out.
We haven't really talked about that much.
What?
What they're trying to do, because no one ever pays attention, obviously, to the NBA in November and
preseason
December.
Tournament?
Well, no, it's the in-season, like in
tournament.
soccer, what they're doing, the NBA Cup. Like they're
doing
in
it
soccer.
in the middle of the season.
It's part of
the games count.
It'll be part of the season. The games will count, but it'll be a separate like tournament and crowning a champion in
Hope
December.
They don't celebrate
with like a single eliminate, like they do with the FA Cup in English soccer.
We talked about this. I think
it's part
I liked
of the league,
it.
but separate from the league at the same time.
cool.
I think I liked it. I
liked
think I
it.
did. I like some of the tweaks. I like some of the tweaks that they made. Like what's that scoring that they use?
The Elam.
I think
the
it's
Elam ending.
I think it's fantastic. Yeah. I like I don't have the same connection to the NBA as I do to Major League Baseball. I'm probably a little more protective of Major League Baseball. The NBA, I'm like, hell yeah, make them all play, their opposite hand. This will be great.
It's only an exhibition game, but don't you dare mess with the MLB All-Star game.
Exactly right, dude. That's exactly how I feel. Do not change anything else about the NBA. I'm like, they should play standing on their heads.
They should be on
great.
segways.
Play on stilts. I'm down for it. Raise the hoop 15 feet. Like, I'm down to tweak the NBA because, again, I don't have the same emotional connection to it. So I think that's good, though. I think that'll be an interesting thing.
One other just NHL note, not that I've watched a ton, but any NHL coverage you've watched for the last 30 years has included
this is so sad.
Barry Melrose, former LA Kings head coach who has gone on, and he's basically been the face of hockey on ESPN for decades.
Yes.
Since 1996, he's been their lead hockey analyst, and he announced his retirement yesterday after being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. The outpouring from everybody. Barry Melrose just like he is hockey for someone of my age. He's been like part of the sport my entire life, and the guy who's always on the TV talking about hockey.
Well, he was the guy for ESPN.
Oh yeah,
who were they with? Turner for the NHL
for a while, yeah.
Turner for like the last 15, 20 years.
But then they've come back to ESPN now.
I'm going to be the voice for hockey on this network.
Yeah. Former Ben and Woods guest. We had him on several times.
Yeah, we did.
Actually, back at the
he
old
was
station.
Wayne Gretzky's coach when Wayne Gretzky was on the Kings back in the early '90s before he joined ESPN. But
I saw that yesterday. It made me really sad because all the he's not gone or
No.
anything, but it's gonna be a tough road for him, obviously. And when the reports are coming in about what a genuinely kind person he is, it just makes you sad, man. It's very, very tough, this getting old thing.
Definitely. So, yeah, keep that. I just wanted to make sure we recognized him. And, not that any of us are gigantic hockey fans, but he always seemed to make it a little more understandable and accessible. And he always made you feel a little more enthusiastic about the sport when he would come on and talk about it. And, yeah, we probably won't talk about much hockey until at least the playoffs and something interesting happens at some point. But, Barry is definitely one that always kept it interesting. Speaking of Winter League action, has anyone been following the Arizona Fall League and the couple of Padres who have been showing off pretty well? There's one, I don't know how you say it, Jacob
Marcy?
Is it Maurice?
Marcy.
Marcy?
Marcy.
And then, but it's Graham Pauley who really seems to be lighting up that league with some of the better prospects, some of the top pitching prospects of other teams that he's been facing. Guy has been showing off a real impressive left-handed power stroke. Finished the year in Double-A for the Padres and almost certainly will be part of big league camp next spring. And if you're looking for someone who has a chance to make the Padres out of spring training that is from their own system, that has come up, graduating and could make an impact, it's looking more and more like the first guy to arrive of all of them down there could be Graham Pauley, who was not someone who was really on our radar a year ago, not a name that you had heard much about, but had a really good season this year and seems to be following that up with a very strong performance for Peoria in the Arizona Fall League.
I did a little due diligence last night on those guys.
Yeah.
Texted my buddy at Mad Friars and basically said, hey, is Paulie the real deal? And our buddy Mark said, yeah. I mean, he looks really good. And I said, does he play outfield? And he said, four corners, doesn't super have a home yet. He's ostensibly a third baseman for now. Marcy is very interesting, too. AJ will probably have Paulie break camp if he can. Marcy probably not. They could try to replace Grish with him. Maybe summer 24 for Marcy if he keeps it up. So could be some help in reserves.
The Padres probably need designated hitter help, as well, even if he doesn't have a position. I know you don't like to pigeonhole guys like that right at the start of their career.
Well, for me, the DH spot on the San Diego Padres needs to be used in the way that Bob Melvin was going to use it this year. They didn't get off to a good start, so he was really pigeonholed in that respect with Carpenter and Cruz early. Neither of them hit, so it was like, okay. I wanted to get Manny off of his feet. And that, in my mind, for the San Diego Padres, the DH needs to be something of a revolving door of guys you need to get off your feet. That would be ideal, but, I know nothing's perfect.
Dennis Lynn did a roster review on The Athletic, and one of the things I was just perusing it, and he suggested that Jake Cronenworth's most value might be more as a super utility guy. We are all talking about moving him back to second, if there was a way to do that defensively, if you move Xander off of short, but if you can use Cronenworth around the diamond as a guy who you might play 4 different positions in a week to get guys off their feet, and allow them to DH while Jake kind of moves around the field, he may have a lot of value in that, especially if I don't know if there's any thought of ever getting him to the outfield a little bit as well.
I've always said it, man. I've always said
like a Taylor where you go infield, outfield, and both. Jake could really provide more value that way to the Padres.
I literally have just always seen him as a left fielder. I don't know why. It's stuck in my head.
Expensive utility guy.
Yeah, expensive utility guy to be sure.
So is Chris Taylor, essentially.
That's true. I don't know. Croney, his OPS numbers were so much higher when he played second. He's a really good second baseman. So is he most valuable? Is it better to go out and find a first baseman and
I think so.
Move Croney to second?
Or move him to this utility spot. Well, I don't care how much he's making. That's a valuable skill. If you can move around the diamond, get guys like Soto and Machado off their feet every day.
He hit better. He hit better playing second.
Is that a coincidence, though?
I don't know.
I don't know. Is there anything to that? I know that another first baseman can come in probably with more power and be a better offensive production, but I don't know that Jake just said, oh, today I'm at second. Okay, I'm going to hit today because I'm at second. That shouldn't make that much of a difference.
But you're a numbers guy. I mean, the numbers are
They were this year.
They were way different.
I mean, he didn't have a ton of time
No.
at second, though. So he just may have
Skewed
had
a
some
little.
of his better days, and that skewed those numbers at second base.
I will say, next year, with Manny being out to start the season, or at least limited, maybe, yeah, at least limited potentially at third base, that's going to open it up a little bit. If you got a first baseman,
Kim at third to start, Jake at second, Manny at DH, or
and then have a first baseman.
All right, we've got Adam Jones going to join us, wrap up what had to be a very disappointing short stint in the postseason for his Baltimore Orioles, but we'll talk about all the Major League Baseball playoffs with our 5-time All-Star. That is coming up next with Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Well, it wasn't the postseason that the Orioles were envisioning after that great regular season, but it was a big step forward for that team this year, and I saw the congratulatory tweet on a good, fine year for the Orioles from our next guest. We got Adam Jones standing by. We'll get to AJ right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Tannick.
Traffic is sponsored by Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Let's talk about something other than the coastline, guys. Northbound side of the 5, right before the 52, we have reports of a possible brush fire starting. Southbound 5 near Civic Center, stalled motorcycle in the center divide. Now northbound side of the 805, got this collision just before Mesa College. That's blocking the right lane. Coach Quintero and Joe Musgrove's choice. They're a different kind of dealership looking to be a solid community partner and deliver excellent service. Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Chevrolet, find new roads. And Kelly Danik with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station. 97.3 The Fan.
Let's go out to our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan let's go out to Barcelona, Spain. He is back. He is back with us on a Wednesday. We got Adam Jones with us. Good morning, AJ. Our afternoon to you.
How are you guys doing? Always good to hear your lovely voices.
I'm so sorry, man, about the Orioles. Yeah. I know that it stings. And listen, I'm going to give you a lot of credit here. Number one, you fired a hell of a first pitch. You put smoke on that when I saw that. And you at the deadline were one of the guys that were probably most vocal about needing to improve, needing to do something. You know, when you get swept in the first round, I think that's obviously the easy target, Mike Elias. You know, people look back and go, well, see, you should have gotten Josh Hader. You should have gotten some help. And I know that that's something that you wanted. What do you think the mood is around Baltimore today? Do they feel like they let one get away?
I don't think so at all. I mean, they weren't even supposed to be there. Preseason was we go back until March. They were, one of the 5 bottom teams in chances to win the World Series. So I think they exceeded every single expectation. Obviously, between the lines, those guys think that they should have won it. They went up against a very veteran team. I mean, Texas is a very veteran team managed by, one of the best managers of all time in Bruce Bochy. It's just that it's the playoffs. It's a different animal. That team right now, I know it's frustrating. I wouldn't say frustrating. It's more disappointing. Like, man, we did all this year. We should be going further. You do not hang your heads, man. I like what Brandon Hyde said in the post-game interview is that, hey, this team's going to be a problem, and we're good. And they are good. Now they have the opportunity, I think, to see where they need to improve in. We can always say, because if at the trade deadline they weren't that good, we would have been like, oh, well, this is, they're rebuilding still and pieces of this and that. Since they're good, we know that I think for the future, we can say that they're probably going to be pretty good. Now they can add some pieces. We know that they're a place of interest. People want to go play with that young talent. So this offseason is going to be very, very monumental in seeing who they get, what they can get, if they have to trade and go get. But I think this offseason, it's going to be a fun one for them because they're going to be buyers rather than sellers. And I think it's going to be interesting for them this offseason.
I think you were kind of alluding to it, but in football, there's an expression. It's not who you play. It's when you play them. And, for instance, when the Padres played the Rangers about a month and a half ago, swept them, looked clearly like the Padres were the better team than the Rangers. Now, obviously they weren't over the long haul, but right now the Rangers are the hottest team. How much of that do you think is true in baseball, especially in the postseason, that it's not necessarily about the best team, it's about the hottest team?
100%. And, they went to Tampa. Obviously, Tampa didn't have or put up in the fan base didn't put up any sort of resistance. So Texas went in there and just said, yeah, let me just throttle you guys. And then even in Baltimore, which was an incredible atmosphere, having Bruce Bochy, having Simeon, having Seager, guys who have played in very big moments in very big crowds on the road, you have that experience. Having Scherzer, I know he wasn't on the roster, but having him around, having Evaldi around, having guys who have been in huge situations able to ease and calm down the rookie guys. Because you see Young was having a terrific series. Who the hell is this kid, this Carter kid? This kid comes up in September and was like 14 for 19 or something like that. Like, it's unbelievable. And you just run into those type of teams sometimes. And, I don't think anybody right now wants to run into Texas because that offense is prolific. And when they're hot, they're hot. When they're cold, they're cold. It's just right now you're catching them when they're in fuego. And, it didn't matter who you throw in front of them. They were going to put up runs and create incredible resistance for your starting pitching.
We're talking to Adam Jones here, 5-time All-Star on Ben and Woods this morning. And, AJ, I'm seeing a lot right now. I'm seeing a lot from Dodger fans. I'm seeing a lot from Orioles fans. I'm seeing a lot from fans about, man, in the Dodgers case, they always say, like, Dave just doesn't have these guys ready to play. And Bruce clearly does. And I just... the managers aren't swinging the bats, good or bad. They are making the decisions. They have a game plan. One team executes, one team doesn't. That's baseball. But you talk about a veteran leader, a veteran manager, and Bruce Bochy. But there's other teams with veteran managers that seemingly just don't get the job done when the lights, when the calendar turns to October.
No, it's not the manager playing, like you said. And sometimes this is what fans, for some odd reason, forget. I was in Milwaukee with my godson. We're sitting next, behind home plate, and he's like, "Oh, that's a strike. Oh, that's a ball." He's going along with the fans. I'm like, "So when the Brewers are hitting, it's a strike, but when the Brewers are pitching, it's a ball. Which one is it? Which one is it? Like, you can't have it both ways."
Right.
And baseball fans, that's how baseball fans are. When my team if we're winning, I don't like it. You can't be beat for
best
some odd
manager
reason.
alive.
Sometimes you know what? Sometimes you get beat. You ever been just beat? Yes, that's the players. They're the ones you get beat. Right now, the Dodgers is getting just woof. And again, you're catching a very hot Diamondbacks team. You know what I mean? And I think the Diamondbacks went in there and were like, "Hey, man, if this is our chance to punch them in the mouth, this is the time. Like, this is the time to go to Dodger Stadium, where historically they played bad, but they went in there and they punched them in the mouth 2 games. I didn't have them going there and winning 2 games. I had them winning 1, but I don't think anybody had them going and winning 2. And they set themselves up at home. But fans have to understand that, look, man, you get punched in the mouth sometimes and regroup and figure it out again. You get up and do it again. That's sports. Unfortunately, only one team wins. And no matter how you want it to, your fan base, you want your team to win so bad, it's just sometimes it don't happen like that. So, but I think it's different though now with Texas, with Bochy, with Chris Young, with that leadership. It's just different. He brought back Bochy to put him in a great situation. You're not bringing back a mid-70-year-old man to put him in a rebuild. That's not how it goes. He came back to a team that was ready to win now, and the second that they was able to get Scherzer or somebody on that caliber, I think they would have gotten. They went for it because, Mr. Bochy is not getting no younger, so that's when their timetable to win. The Orioles, they have a young manager in Hyde. They have time. But the Rangers, they put together a team to win now and next year.
Honestly, I think Boch looked older about 8 years ago.
He really did.
He looks younger now.
That time away really helps him.
He looks refreshed.
Oh.
I think the glasses look good on him. He's just
that hat
wearing it.
still doesn't fit,
No,
though.
but he's looking good. Adam, I'm hearing the take multiple times a day now. National media, oftentimes non-baseball people, that baseball needs to fix this playoff format. It's there's too much of a layoff for the bye teams. They're getting rusty. They stop hitting. Woods and I don't really buy that. I think the rest is still a good thing. It doesn't seem to be bothering the Astros. But from, the Orioles or Dodgers perspective, I certainly can see why they're saying it. Do you think there is an issue with the layoff after a 3-game wild card series and waiting for a hot team to catch you then, 5 days later?
Well, so do you bring just a 1-game wild card back then? That's the only way to do it. It's the only way to do it. If you go to people argue we want a 3-game wild card. Give us a chance.
You can't decide in one game, right?
Yeah, exactly. You have it now. Like you can't. Like which way do you want it? You know what I mean? It's which way do you want it? The person who finished with the 3rd best record in the division has to play the wild card game. They added an extra wild card game. It's like you're getting more of what you want. So you're getting more teams with the ability to make the playoffs. But you're going to get layoffs for some guys. So you're giving a give and take. So what do you want to do? Let's go back to the 1 wild card and start on Wednesday. Play a wild card game Tuesday, and the series starts Thursday opposed to the Saturday. That's the only way to do it. And they're going to complain either way. I think the format which you have,
lost you.
He's thinking.
Lost him.
Uh-oh.
That was weird. I was actually
You know-
waiting. Oh,
There
there
you go. Sorry, you cut out for a minute. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Like if you did a way for a guy to pick, the first overall seed, like the Orioles get to pick
Yeah.
the lesser seed or something like that. The lesser seed plays the highest seed. If you did it like that, because you already seen how when the format came out, the structure was the structure, no matter what. Opposed to it can be altered depending on if whatever seed wins. You can do that.
Who would the
I don't know
Dodgers
if
have picked?
They sure in the hell wouldn't have picked Philly.
Right.
Yeah. So
they-
Diamondbacks.
Exactly.
You get when
Exactly.
you get a 6 seed.
But the Orioles would have picked the Twins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Orioles would have picked the Twins to play over playing the Rangers. That we know that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No one wants to face Texas.
As a
So
player,
Of course, you also motivate the team when you pick a team.
Yeah, when you pick a team,
you
you're-
go, oh, you just give them fire, fuel,
100%.
bulletin board
But
material.
that's why the whole thing of to winning your division was so important, and you see it with the Padres still being in to a week out, because by having 6 available teams per division or per league, it adds more incentive down the road. Like the Reds were still in it to the last games, and the Cubs were like. So you can't have it both ways. We've added more teams, but adding more teams means adding more games, therefore adding more days until the next series can start. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. But maybe it can change where the highest seed gets the choice of picking his opponent. Therefore, the Dodgers, the Braves. The Braves might have went and said, "Nah, I don't want to face Philly right now. I don't want to match that energy. Let me get the Diamondbacks somewhere, a team that's far. They don't travel well with a fan base. Let me not get Philly, which they travel really well right down the corridor. Let me pick another team." The Orioles would have said, "Let me get Minnesota." Although Minnesota, no disrespect, is great. They have great starting pitching, but they ain't Texas offensively, I should say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's super interesting. And as a player, though, if you won the division and you're like, yeah, this is what we've been scrapping 162 games, now I get a little time off. And I know you're gonna there's things you can do to stay sharp and whatnot. And like I said, like Ben said, it hasn't bothered the Astros one single bit, not one bit at all. They won the World Series last year. It seems kind of like crying over spilled milk when you have the best opportunity. You're playing, like in the Dodgers case, they're playing the lowest seed. Like, handle business. You're a huge payroll team, a huge market team. You've got home field advantage. The first 2 games. I don't think you can put it on the format. I think you got to put it on yourselves.
It don't matter when you play in division, though. Like the Diamondbacks have been there before, so it's not like it's like the Marlins going there where they go once a year. No, the Diamondbacks and the Diamondbacks players have all been there and been in Chavez Ravine when it's going nuts.
Sure.
So they definitely weren't shy about that. And the same with Philly. They went down there and was like, we play you all the time. We know y'all. That's why I say if you were able to pick a team and like if they were able to pick the team they wanted, Atlanta would have been like, nah, let me get Diamondbacks, because I can make sure that I can control this entire fan base. Don't have to deal with the Philly fans until hopefully the next round if we get to them. Don't have to match that energy yet. That series over there is a World Series atmosphere right now. They're going nuts. I know you've seen those games. They're going insane over there. So, if the team gets a layoff, like I said, like the Astros, they're handling business. They get a layoff. They've been there before, so they know exactly what to do. No one's questioned that. Now the team that's losing, you're gonna say, oh, they had too much of a layoff. It's always a give and take, because as a player, you're gonna say, well, I need a couple of days. Hey, I'm battling this knee. Somebody's going through something. Maybe I need a cortisone shot to get me through the playoffs. My back's been aching up. Let me do something. Everybody, trust me, I love those couple of days when I had the opportunity to get them.
All right,
never made an excuse. Never made an excuse about it.
All right, AJ, got to get the player perspective before you go on our topic earlier. I think that there are too many champagne celebrations now. Hey, congratulations, celebrate, but doing it after the wild card series and then after a division series, seems like too much to me. We're getting like 30 of them every year now when you add them all up together.
Crazy.
Your thoughts
They're
as a
crazy.
player, though, is there too many of them now? Or, hey, you've earned it, go ahead and spray champagne every series?
Man, I mean, it depends on what side you're on. If you work for Moet Chandon, you'd be very happy. If you're a vendor, you'd be an extremely happy person because all these orders that are coming in. Man, winning in professional sports, getting to professional sports is extremely hard. I played 14 years in the majors. I got to do that 3 times. I got friends that have played.
Did it ever get old to you? Did it get old after the second time? Exactly. Do you wish you had more opportunities?
100%. And I
Thank
guess
you.
now with the stage of my life, the next time if I have an opportunity, I'll be in khakis and a polo as an exec with a lanyard. That might be the next opportunity.
Well, when you break 80 on the golf course, you can do
it. Oh, if I break 80. Hey, I found something else. I had a good friend of mine gave me one tip the other day, and it changed my game for these 9 holes.
Share it with all of us, please.
He just widened my stance.
All right.
Widen your stance. Okay.
It made me taller. Nobody offered that for me. Ben, you didn't even
Ben didn't say a word.
Sorry.
He doesn't give tips on the golf course. He's a
He wants
monster.
to destroy you.
He's a monster, is what he is.
I get that, but I mean, a good champion.
Yes.
Always, you size out your opponent. You know you could whoop my tail.
Yeah.
You just give me some tips until you see me about to whoop your tail.
Didn't say a word.
Then you stop.
Not one word out there.
Sorry. I immediately saw Adam and go, God, if he just widens his stance a little bit.
Gets a little taller.
But I'm not going to tell. I'm not going to be the one. All right.
Thank you, buddy.
AJ, thank
Appreciate
you so much.
man.
As always, have a good week.
Thank you. You too.
Adam Jones, our all-star on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Yeah, I thought he made good points about the playoff format, the layoff. I don't even subscribe to the theory that the layoff is what's hurting any of these teams. People just assume that it's the layoff and that they need to fix that. In football, I mean, the numbers are clear. The teams with the buys are better off. Yeah, not just because they skip games, because they're well-rested, they're healthy. Now, baseball is more of a timing game. I get it. In football, there's timing involved, certainly, but you're practicing, you're staying sharp. It's a little tougher to do without playing game conditions in baseball, so I do get that, but I don't know that the layoff has anything to do with these teams struggling at all.
Just an excuse. And again, I said it. I've said it, and remember it. I told Paulie, save the audio. If the same thing happens to the Padres next year and they go out, they win 100 games, and they get bounced in the first round, it's not the format I'm going to be mad at. It's the Padres and Bob Melvin or whoever's the manager. That's who I'm going to be upset at. That's it. The players.
From one center fielder, Major League Baseball, playing on the East Coast, to another one. Doug Glanville, who's covering the Braves-Phillies series for ESPN, is going to join us when we come back to kick off our final hour of Ben and Woods. Up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Tonight might be the last night of the season for the LA Dodgers.
Could be.
I mean, imagine.
I don't think it will be.
Get knocked out of the division series by the Padres, then potentially get knocked out in the division series by the Diamondbacks. I mean, is the Rockies gonna knock them out next year in the division series?
I doubt
that's
that.
The progression
That's
you would have doubted that the Diamondbacks were going to do it at this time last year as
true.
well. You never know what surprises are in store in Major League Baseball. And we also have Game 3 of the Braves-Phillies series coming up at Citizens Bank Park. And guy covering that on ESPN Radio, I was listening to his analysis on the call on Saturday as I was driving back from the Rose Bowl. Doug Glanville joins us right now on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Always good to have the former big leaguer on. Doug, welcome back to Ben & Woods in San Diego on 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, man, thanks for having me on. You bring me memories of going to Legoland with my kids, a while back.
I was listening to you as I drove right by Legoland on Saturday.
Well, I know that you just did a new podcast with Jason Stark, and you interviewed our beloved, one of our absolute favorites of all time, Marlins manager Skip Schumacher. Is he not? We love him. When he was here, Padres bench coach, got close to Skip, and the job he did in Miami, I thought was pretty remarkable this season, Doug.
He did a great job, and such a historic team, just the way they're turning it around, and yeah, it was a pleasure to have him on. I remember him as a competitor and a clutch performer as a player, but also just the respect already he's garnered throughout the league. We saw Craig Counsell when he did the Brewers Diamondback series, and Counsell, one of the best managers in the game. And he's like, we asked him about managing against the Marlins. He's like, oh man, that Schumacher, he really knows what he's doing. So it's a high praise when you've been in the league only a couple of years as a manager, and you're already kind of figuring out the best ways to use your bullpen and all the complexities with the new algorithms and data, and yet still know how to manage people well. So he's an up and comer, and I think the Marlins are going to continue to make some noise.
And it's interesting talking to Doug Glanville here. He got a lot of credit for changing the culture, and culture's been a real buzzword around here, Doug, as far as the San Diego Padres are concerned, and a lot of articles written about the culture, lack thereof. You played in the big leagues for a long time. How important is it? How do you find it? Can you create it? Does winning breed it?
Somewhat all of the above. I mean, when you think about winning and success, there is an element, even if you don't love everybody in the room, there's a certain respect, and there's a certain respect for the work involved and the roles that you play. So you don't necessarily have to hang out every day, but you do hear from a lot of these teams, especially when the managers that we interview before the games, a lot of them do say that I'm enjoying this team, I'm having the most fun I've ever had. The guys really like each other. They go out to dinner. Certainly if you're good, you execute, and you respect each other's job, and you like each other, that is the best combination you can ask. And I do think that someone can change the culture and come in. It may be a player, it may be a manager, but the culture can shift. And I think of someone like Jose Ramirez. Terry Francona raves about the reason he had the success he did, but not necessarily a big payroll or deep talent. But a guy like Jose Ramirez embodies what he professed as what he wanted as a manager. And that's someone that was accountable, showed up on time, and played hard every day. And when you have a star player doing that, it's easier to change the culture or have young players come up and expect that of themselves. And so, yes, I think it can change literally overnight, depending on the leadership, the personnel, the timing, and the will.
Talking to ESPN's Doug Glanville here on Ben & Woods. It's funny, I call this Center Fielder Hour. We just had Adam Jones on. You're on.
Yeah.
Our colleague Tony Gwynn Jr. will be here in just a little while. So we've got it. We're well covered at the center field position right now.
We're strong up the middle.
Yeah. And I asked Adam this, so I'll ask you as well about the narrative that the layoffs are hurting teams like the Orioles and the Dodgers after the sitting out the 3-game wild card series. You're covering that Braves series. That narrative was probably going to be true until they rallied for 5 runs at the end of game 2 as well. Now, all of a sudden, doesn't feel quite as true anymore. Where do you kind of land on the formatting issue of the baseball playoffs?
Yeah, well, it does matter. I mean, I know personally when I missed 3 games, I felt really crazy. My swing felt off. It's a timing. It's a game of timing and mechanisms that that you key in on. Now, can you completely, put all of it at the foot of the break? No, but it's a factor. And but yes, with baseball, the nature of wanting to revamp something after one iteration of it, it's a little tough. But you kind of want to see how it plays out. But it's hard to address that because you want to reward a team that won the division. You give them a bye, you give them time. You want to reward that, but I'm sure they prefer not to have 6 days off. I know some players are complaining about the day off even after game one, right? In the National League and last year the American League. They don't want time off. But I don't know, when you have 16 wild cards in both leagues, it's pretty hard to find room to be like, hey, let's, all play the next day right after the season ends, unless you have some sort of round robin or something. So there's other formats. Other sports do a lot of different things. Baseball is, imperfect, but I don't think in the end of baseball you always get the best team anyway. That is the nature of upsets and the nature of the beast, and somewhat something that we actually love about it.
Well, like you said, it's a small sample size, so let's do this format for like 80 to 100 years, and then we'll have a good reference to decide whether or not there is a layoff penalty. We'll know by then.
Right. Yeah, time definitely matters. You always say small sample size, right? And I think we need a little bit more time. And look, the Braves might have gotten hot all of a sudden, and then it changes everything. And regardless of postseason, you got to find a way. I mean, I got my game-winning hit in the playoffs in 2003, and I sat. I don't think I had started in like weeks, and I'm not sure how I did it. But you just find sometimes it lines up, and you just find the magic in the moment.
The magic in the moment is something that we were severely lacking here in San Diego this year. And you can look at all the numbers, Doug. You can look at the back of baseball cards. You can look at, one of the best pitching staffs in baseball, the Cy Young, the reliever of the year, Juan Soto. All these guys had decent numbers as it turned out. When it came down to it, and you're seeing teams in the playoffs right now really struggling with runners in scoring position. It drove us crazy. We got tired of saying it. We got tired of looking at how many they left, the night before. How do you fix that? I mean, is it? How do you go into spring training and say, we need a bigger emphasis on hitting with runners in scoring position? Because we all know baseball players, they want those ribbies. They want those steaks every single day. That's important to them. And it's important to us, and it's how you win ball games. How do you change that narrative?
Well, first, it's one of those statistics that it's not really repeatable. You can't just be like, oh, I hit 330 last year and I hit 330 again. There's a little bit of luck involved. There's certainly a plan. I wouldn't say, like, you could have a mediocre statistical year in runners in scoring position and have a good plan. I'll give you an example. Like Randy Johnson loved to throw that first pitch, get me over slider when runners were in scoring position. That's kind of how he did it. Now, if I didn't learn from that and notice he was doing that, then I'm not doing my job. Now, I may not hit it because it's still a Randy Johnson slider, but there was a game I finally got it and got a base hit and got 2 RBIs because I finally figured out that that's what he does. But guess what? Randy Johnson's also then adjusting the next time. And that's the cat and mouse game that you have to continue to stay on. So having a good plan and approach is the responsibility of the players and the staff. And certainly when you have great players like the Padres, you'd expect those guys to continue to make those adjustments quickly and having that plan. But if you're planless and it's just, rippling through and people are just, kind of turning it into high stress instead of something they can thrive off of, it can certainly snowball on a given team, especially when you have teams that you're playing that are executing. And as we established with the Padres division, they had some good teams. Giants were good. Dodgers were good. Diamondbacks are proving that they were good. It wasn't exactly an easy division. You're facing Zach Gallen. You're facing Clayton Kershaw. You're facing a lot of good pitchers that are really strong. So, but yes, coaching, repetition, practice, and then when things got to go blank for you, as Tony Gwynn would say, when the moment arises.
Talking to ESPN's Doug Glanville here on Ben and Woods. And Doug, I assume you're still on the Braves-Phillies series, so you'll be at Citizens Bank Park tonight?
Citizens Bank, I'm expecting it to be total pandemonium.
Yeah, well, okay, so that's my question. I mean, this isn't football where, the crowd can impact the offensive signal calling with the noise and everything. How much home field advantage do you really see? Because it really feels like the Phillies have an amazing one right now, but it's still baseball.
It's still baseball. Well, you have pitch comm, you can't hear. I mean,
right.
That's happening
That's true.
all the time. And it's a little different now. But, yeah, I would say when I talk to you heard Skip Schumacher's interview, and he mentioned that it's a factor. When they played in Philly, and you have young players, maybe it makes a little bit of a difference. You remember Johnny Cueto dropped the ball on the mound. Remember Pittsburgh,
Yep.
and so it could be one play, it could be just a little bit of a tense man, but it's certainly something that I'd rather have on my side than against me when it comes to like the collective. And the Phillies, I mean, it's just another level. It's another set of decibels here. You do feel like you're standing behind the space shuttle in Philadelphia. It's just like, and Atlanta was really loud, but wow, this is something else. And the culture behind it now is kind of fed into that. They're all playing in sync, and they've delivered. And so I think it's going to be a challenge for the Braves, but they've done this before.
You had some good years in Philly, Doug. So when you go back to Philly, what's the reception like?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying you had some good years in Philly. So when you get back there, and what's the reception like for you? And how difficult of a place was that to play?
Yeah, I was a Philly fan growing up, so I kind of feel like I'd be criticizing myself if I didn't have a good appreciation of what that meant. I've always seen the Philly fans as a challenge, as holding you accountable, as expecting you to play hard, respect the game, respect the city, know your history, know the team history. I do think if you do all those things, they'll have your back. I do that, and yes, they're going to get mad. They booed me once, and I was upset. But I look back and even looked at the time, and I'm like, I didn't make the right play. They will get on you, but then this year you got to see in clarity the other side of it when they cheered for Trey Turner, and he was struggling, and they went out and they had his back even when he was struggling, and he ended up responding. Certainly, I'm sure it was other factors, but that was big. It's big not only for Trey Turner, but for other players to see like, oh, wait a minute, they're gonna still have my back when we play hard, and that's big, and that's the side of Philly fans you don't see a lot. That was also there.
Well, Doug, certainly jealous. Enjoy that atmosphere tonight. It was the best game of the playoffs, game 2, and I'm expecting another good one this evening. We really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
All right, guys. Always a pleasure to be on. Thank you.
There's Doug Glanville, ESPN, former major leaguer, on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. So might as well just add one more African-American center fielder to the mix. Dave Roberts. Is he managing for his job now?
Ben, you do a great job.
There he is. We got Adam Jones, Doug Glanville. We mentioned Tony Gwynn Jr. Now we got Dave Roberts, who had a big playoff moment in the early 2000s as well, coming cold off the bench to steal a base for the Boston Red Sox. Is this it for him? If they lose, do they make a change in L.A.? Let's talk about that. More on the matchups coming up tonight. It's Ben and Woods. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Well, thanks again to Doug Glanville. Just joined us on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Going until 10 o'clock. Coach John Quintero will take over. So I've answered my question during the break of whether I think Dave Roberts is managing for his job tonight. And I think the answer is no. Now, would you like to know why I think that?
I would.
Okay.
Because I agree with you.
You do agree with me.
No,
All
I
right.
think they're not going to lose tonight. There's no way. Dodgers aren't going to get swept.
That's not agreeing with me. If you win, if you would have been fired, if you lost, then you're managing for your job. Even if you save your job, you're still managing for your job.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just saying they're not losing.
I think that the question is, I would hope that if I was an executive of a Major League Baseball team and it was my decision whether or not to fire the manager, that I would have an idea of who I wanted, like what kind of manager I wanted if I was going to go in a different direction. Correct? You don't just fire the manager to fire the manager. We need something like this instead of that. And if you're the Dodgers, you have no complaints with how Dave Roberts manages in the regular season. Right?
Go Dave Roberts.
None at all. Every year. I mean, the worst season they've had was second place and 106 wins in the last decade, essentially. Yeah. So you'd be looking for what? A manager with a ton of playoff success then. Someone who really knows how to manage well in the playoffs. What kind of who's available out there that has got
Joe Torre,
all kinds of playoff success that you're going to be able to hire and bring in? There's no one, right?
So
I mean, you'd just essentially be firing Dave Roberts and then crossing your fingers
that the next guy
might have better success in the playoffs because there's no available proven playoff managers. Now, if you'd done it last year and hired Bruce Bochy, I could make that argument and go, all right, he wants to come back. He's done it before. I don't think Boch would have managed the Dodgers, but you could have made that argument. Who out there, though, is even on the list of guys with incredible playoff success that the Dodgers would look to bring in? Now,
being the judicious, sports radio host that I am, I spent some time yesterday looking at the old Twitter machine, and I ran across, Ben, a phenomenal conversation between two Dodger fans. May I read some of it to you?
Please.
One gentleman says, I'm as mad... this one was from a couple of years ago. And then another guy yesterday quote tweeted it and said, happy it's not Doc. The Dodgers bats just get historically cold at the same time every year, regardless of players' anniversary. First guy's was from 2019. He says, hey, happy anniversary. And then the next guy responds and says, I mean, he can't make them hit. And then the next guy responds, poor guy. Year after year, keeps getting lineups full of good players who forget what a strike zone is or show any emotion when the calendar flips. It's uncanny. But I guess that's more believable than the manager having more impact on tournament preparation than, quote, making them hit. And then he says, what do you think he's not doing that other teams that hit are doing? And why is it more likely than multiple bad series from good players? It's the age-old question, and if the Dodgers knew the solution to it, they would spend money to get it. Believe you me, they would absolutely invest in that. I don't think you can... I'm not just saying this because I love Dave Roberts as the manager of the Dodgers. I don't think you can fire a guy that consistently wins as much as he does. I just think that you have to keep rolling with it until he gets the job done in a full season. Is this Woods
playing next level chess because you don't want Dave Roberts to go?
I just said that's not why I'm saying it. You made the point. Who are you going to find that does a better job? Now, when the postseason gets there, is it the players? I've never heard, honestly, guys, I hear a lot from Dodger fans, as you might expect, more than I'd like. But I never hear anything bad about the culture. In fact, I hear the culture is phenomenal. Mookie and Freddie and they're best buddies, and there's articles. I don't see any critical articles really coming out about the Dodgers. Alden Gonzalez doesn't really write critical.
They may be the gold standard.
That's it. I mean, Bill Plaschke predicts them to win the World Series every single year. Every year. He just did it 3 days ago. He's like, they're winning it. They're winning the World Series. That's LA Times. So who are you going to get that's going to win 100-plus games, win the division? We brought up the Bobby Cox point yesterday. I guarantee you Bobby Cox was like, son of a... How did I not win 6 or 7 World Series rings with all the guys we had? How? He got his one in a full season, and that's good for him. But I know he feels like he left something on the table. And I know Dave feels like he's left a ton on the table. And October baseball is a completely different animal. I don't think he's had good postseasons before. I don't. I think this postseason, he's been fine. His guys are just terrible right now. They're just not hitting. And I don't know how. Should he be flipping them front toss on his knee in front of him? Hey, guys, we're going to get you ready. This is going to work. Yeah, really, honestly, like what? At what point when you get them there and they're that good and they're that pro and they're veterans and you don't have the pitching that you're used to having, but you still have some good arms, what should he do? And if you're a Dodger fan, feel free to weigh in on Twitter or whatever. Like, what should he do? The only reason you'd fire him, Ben, the only one, is the quote unquote, it's time for a different voice. That's it. That's by all accounts, the voice has been fine.
And if that is the reason you do it, the odds are fairly overwhelming that the person you bring in will not be as successful as Dave Roberts has been, especially in the regular season. He has set a standard that is almost going to be impossible to match with what they've done over the last, decade in the National League West. Now, if you're a Dodgers fan, you go, I don't care if they win
80 games.
If they win 90 games, sneak into the playoffs. If they win a playoff series, I'll take that over what Dave Roberts has given us. But there's no rationale to believe that the next guy is going to do anything that different from Dave, unless you're changing all the players as well to make this a better team. As I said earlier this week, to me, it's way more on Clayton Kershaw and his playoff struggles than it's on Dave Roberts. It's on the hitters not coming through.
Yeah,
It's on Mookie and Freddie and off to a slow start than it is on Dave Roberts.
100%. Joey says Dodgers' greatest strength is also their biggest weakness. The even keel attitudes serve them well in the regular season. It fails them in the playoffs. You need that extra juice and energy. They don't. Here's the funny part, though, Joey. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, JD Martinez, a lot of those guys have
had playoff success before.
In the juiced up atmospheres that they've played in before. Does that lend any credibility to the we're at Mookie? I saw a podcast he did with JD Martinez, and they talked about the differences playing in Boston and playing in Philly, and they both had that experience, and they talked about it. And they both said, oh, man, L.A. is just chill. Like, if you lose, it's like, hey, go get them tomorrow. Boston, they want to kill you. And does that make you play better? Does it lend credibility to our theory, my theory, too, of why do guys come here and just put their feet up and cruise? Like, it happens. Padres players, Xander Bogaerts is a G, man. He won World Series in Boston. Xander Bogaerts come here and he says stuff that you're like, wait, what? Well, you never would have said that in Boston. Dan Shaughnessy would have killed you. Is it our fault, the media? Maybe we're not hard enough on them. Maybe the fans need to start booing and screaming and being irrational.
Yet in Philly, it took kindness and cheering for Trey Turner for them to take off this year.
It truly is confounding. So I think, when they get to Allen says they have no struggle throughout the season. They'll win the division by 10 to 20 games. No struggle makes it hard to turn it on. I mean, that happens too. That happened, I think the Yankees of the 90s were that way. They would cruise through the East. And then they'd get to the playoffs and they said, pedal the metal. We're going to run through these playoffs too. There may be something to the fact of, hey, I'm on the West Coast. It's more relaxed. It's more chill. But you have to be that way. You can't be squeezing the sawdust out of the bat in the postseason. You actually have to be loose. I would have thought that attitude would serve them well in the playoffs as well. Calm, cool, collected, like one Bruce Bochy in his steady hand. Alex Bregman. The heartbeat on Alex Bregman when he's at the plate in a big moment is probably 82 beats a minute. Mine would be 182 beats a minute. His is just, here we go. I mean, it's experience. They've done it. You're telling me Houston fans are harder on their fans than Dodger fans? I doubt it.
All right. I think you were right on both counts yesterday with Astros and Rangers in your predictions. So give me your thoughts just quickly. Atlanta at Philadelphia, Bryce Elder versus Aaron Nola.
I got the
Who do
Phillies. I got
you
the
like
Phillies.
the Phillies
Yep.
taking a 2-1 lead with Nola on the mound?
I do.
I tend to agree. Houston at Minnesota. Jose Urquidy against Joe Ryan.
I'm very sorry to the Twins fans. I think your season ends today.
All right, Astros, and then Dodgers, Diamondbacks. Lance Lynn against Brandon Pfaadt.
I think it's.
You said Dodgers. You're going to win
Dodgers.
that.
Yeah, Dodgers win this game tonight.
Okay. So we will only have.
No way they get swept. No chance. Zero.
So we
None.
will have a 2-1 lead in any count with the Philadelphia-Atlanta series. You think the Houston-Minnesota series will be over this afternoon?
It's tough to like root for the Astros, but I want the Astros-Rangers series so badly that I'm willing to root hard for the Astros tonight just because I want. I mean, they beat Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray is one of the Twins' best pitchers. Joe Ryan's good too, but I mean, they laid the wood to him. They just put the wood to him. You could see the energy kind of run out. It's baseball. Anything can happen, but my gut tells me the Astros win it tonight.
All right. We will take a timeout. Last one of the show. When we come back, got some interesting things coming up at Petco Park. We're going to fill you in on events like the Lynx at Petco Park returning and other exciting opportunities at our downtown ballpark. Coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. In corporate lingo, they call it activating the ballpark.
Oh, yeah.
For the rest of us, it's just like, hey, the Padres only play 81 home games, but there's like 365 days of the year, and we got this really cool space. What else can we do with it at Petco Park when the Padres aren't using it? That's what we're going to be talking about with our friend Jaclyn Lash, Senior Vice President, Special Events with the Padres. She's going to join us right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Tannick.
Traffic is sponsored by the all-new Premier Buick GMC of Carlsbad. Well, guys, I thought that they'd reopen lanes on the South 5 coastline past Aliso Creek Rest area, but apparently they've got that right lane blocked after all. Here's the story. Looks like they have uprighted that overturned tanker truck, but now fuel spill has got that right lane blocked. So just expect maybe some slowing there. That's southbound 5 past the Aliso Creek Rest area. Fortunately, no other problem spots on our freeways. Premier Buick GMC of Carlsbad with all-new GMC Sierra 1500 elevation package trucks, $4,000 off MSRP, over 15 in stock to choose from. Stop in or shop online at carlsbadbuickgmc.com, a proud member of the Premier Carlsbad family of dealers. I'm Kelly Danik with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And there are some very exciting things coming to Petco Park, and it's not just concerts, Woods. Yeah, they have those, but we got probably the most diverse kind of lineup of other activities that are going to be going on downtown. And joining us right now on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline is Senior Vice President of Special Events for the Padres at Petco Park, Jaclyn Lash, back with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Hello, Jaclyn.
Hello, good morning. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. You are very, very busy. There's a lot going on. I wanted to ask you just a logistics question first of all, because we saw our own beloved Tony Gwynn Jr. down there with the hard hat with the Padres logo. I would like one of those if possible.
What would you do with that?
I just wear it. I would wear it around the house.
I mean, they're rad. Let's just wear them around town.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we can bring a whole. I don't look great in the City Connect. I would look better in that hard hat, I think.
Jaclyn, we're gonna have to find you one.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Benefits of being on the flagship, I guess.
Right.
I did want to ask you. So I know they're doing construction and whatnot, and revamping Gallagher Square. The events going on. Do you have to kind of plan around that construction? How's that going to work?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we're definitely used to juggling, different things going on at the ballpark, and we're lucky because the ballpark's big enough that we can still have, a 9-hole golf course with links or other concerts on the playing field while Gallagher Square is being completely renovated. So, yes, we definitely have to work around it, but it doesn't stop us from, like you said, the corporate word of activating the ballpark.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned the golf
I heard
course.
that.
I know. I'm teasing a little bit. So the links at Petco Park is back, but if I remember correctly, it used to be like January later in the off season. Now this is kind of an October version. What's going to be different about the links, which open up this week? Correct?
Yeah. So exactly. So this year we're doing links from Friday the 13th until Sunday, October 22nd. And as you mentioned, with the October and especially starting Friday the 13th, we thought we'd make it kind of spooky themed. So not only do you get to walk from tee box to tee box around the ballpark in different locations, the press box, the rooftop, but we're also going to do kind of like an adult trick-or-treating. So every whole location will have a different trick-or-treat. Some more exciting stuff than our regular links, which is already incredible. So we're really excited. We actually just released a few more tee times yesterday. This event sells out right away, but we were able to find a couple more tee times and days to add. So if you go to padres.com/the links, you can see what's available. But again, we're super excited. Everyone loves this event. It's really unique, whether you love golf and you're great at it or whether you just want to come swing a club in America's finest ballpark.
It's really fun. We did it our very first year on the show, and every year I miss it. I miss it like I'm out of town or traveling or something. I'm traveling again this weekend, but I may try to get out there next week because we had such a blast.
It's fun.
When
It's
we
like a
come next week.
Full ballpark tour, essentially, while playing some golf.
It's trippy when you hit one from like the upper deck down onto the field. It's pretty
Exactly.
awesome. Yeah, it's really, really cool. Now, you're also putting quite a dent into my wallet because there's Dia de los Deftones. We had Band of Horses and the Revivalists already. There's so many good shows coming to town. I don't think any bigger than Foo Fighters coming next August. Jaclyn. And will there be more tickets available for that?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, we love doing concerts here at the ballpark. We just think it's such an incredible venue to see your favorite act, whether it's in Gallagher Square or on the playing field right in the middle of downtown. It's easy to get to. Deftones is sold out. Foo Fighters, we did announce last week. It's August 7th of 2024, and I was blown away by how quickly this thing sold. There's still some tickets available, so go to padres.com/concerts to kind of see what's out there still. But yeah, I mean, people love Petco Park. They love the Foo Fighters. They love all the different acts we have. At noon today, I'm giving you a sneak peek, but we're going to open a few more tickets for Hozier.
Oh, nice.
That's on October 29th. So that one already had sold out, but we're going to open a few more tickets. That one's on the playing field. Just a lot of fun stuff going on. We have Jordan Davis in Gallagher Square next year on May 31st.
The all-new Gallagher Square.
The new Gallagher Square, exactly. We're so excited about it. We have the Holiday Bowl, we have the rodeo. So we just try and think of really fun, exciting things to do in San Diego and, have all of our fans and fans of the ballpark come and experience different things. So it's really fun, and we're just thrilled to have San Diego's support.
Talking to Jaclyn Lash with the Padres. Well, before you go, one last thing, because you mentioned the Holiday Bowl. The logistics. So that's December 27th, and then you've got the Wild Horses Festival December 30th, and then you've got the rodeo coming in less than 2 weeks later, which has got to be, in terms of like the preparation to put a rodeo on at Petco Park. I even got no idea. How are you going to juggle all of those events in a 2-week span?
Yeah, I mean, when you say it, it sounds crazy. We have an incredible team, both our grounds crew team, Matt Balo, and the rest of his guys. Are super helpful, and Drew Gomes and our operations team here. So yes, we are going to go from football to Zach Bryan and a concert to a rodeo right in the infield. So it'll be an interesting month, or maybe 3 weeks in there, but we're excited. And we've done so many events here. We really consider ourselves to be best in class in terms of special events and, like you said, activating the ballpark. We just feel like we're so lucky to have this jewel of a venue in the middle of downtown, and we want to activate it and bring as many special things to San Diego as we can.
Great,
mission accomplished so far. It's
great job, Jaclyn.
Yeah,
Go ahead. You have one more thing you wanted to say?
No, I was just going to say, yeah, we're definitely doing it, and we appreciate San Diego.
We can deactivate you then. Thank you for joining us.
She's going to activate her fist into your mouth.
I'm going to activate. I'm just going to keep activating.
Jaclyn Lash, Senior Vice President with the Padres, on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. I'm sorry. Corporate speak I find kind of amusing sometimes. They drill that into us lately, especially in TV, like my writing. Try to write as much like a real person. And I'm not good at it. I write like a sportscaster.
Yes.
And there's lots of sportscastery phrases, just like when you work at in a corporation, they have lots of corporate words.
A lot of synergy.
Yeah, synergy.
Yeah,
there's a corporate word for you right there. It's not even a real word.
Boom Goes the Dynamite to your sportscast tonight.
That's sportscastery for you.
If you get a chance.
By the way, speaking of concerts, not at Petco Park, but we do have more tickets to give away to the concert coming up, the Vets Aid concert down at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater next month in Chula Vista. If you want to win a pair of tickets to see Joe Walsh, Jeff Lynn's ELO, we've got 2 to give away right now. Let's make it easy on Paulie. Just call fast. Be the third caller, 833-288-0973. Hook you up for some tickets. It's November 12th. It benefits the veterans, Vets Aid, concert for our veterans at North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. You can get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com as well. But call now, 833-288-0973.
Let's take the callers on the air.
You want to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
You nervous?
All right.
And then they can give their personal information out over the air as well.
Maybe we shouldn't do that.
Well, no, we can.
Mother's maiden name.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to take caller number one right now?
First
take caller number one.
All right.
All right. I'm giving you another chance.
You
want me to do it now?
Yeah. I want to see how you do this.
All right.
All right, let's go. Here we go.
97.3 The Fan. Who's this?
This is Pete.
Pete, I am so sorry, but you are caller number one, my friend. Try again. Sorry, buddy. 97.3 The Fan. Who is this?
Makayo.
Makayo, you are caller number 2. So very close, Makayo. Try again, buddy. Sorry about that.
Oh,
Okay.
97.3 The Fan. Who is this?
This is Jesus.
Jesus, congratulations, my friend. You are the winner. You are going to the big show with Jeff Lynn's ELO. And who else? Joe Walsh.
Joe
Are you
Walsh.
a fan of either of those bands?
Yes.
Okay.
Joe Walsh band, yes.
Good. Beautiful. Well, you're going to have a great
Life
time.
is good for you then, sir.
Hang on the line, and Paulie will get your information. And congratulations. Thanks so much for listening to Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
You got it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. That's what I did.
Why don't we do that every time? That was so dramatic
It's
and
so
exciting.
dramatic. I know.
I mean, the tension was you could cut it with a knife.
You really could.
When you got to caller number 2,
I know.
and they were like right on the edge of winning, but then they didn't win. My heart was broken from Kyle.
Yeah, mine
he
too.
came so close. It's hard to get through. I mean,
See
usually
how pro I sounded
yeah,
though when
usually
I did it?
you just get a busy. Have you ever called in to try to win a contest?
So many times.
And you just get a busy signal.
Yeah. Did you ever get on the air anywhere? You were
No.
sports. You never called in a sports show?
I did Jim Rome once.
Did you get on?
I did.
You did?
Once, yeah.
What happened? Give me the whole
I
story.
talked about the Padres. They were winning. They had like won 14, or it was 1999, the year after the World Series, and they had started to slow, and then they went on this, I think it was like a 14-game winning streak, and I wanted to, get some Padres conversation going. Like I think they're turning it around. There he is, Romy Van Smack. Of
hey,
course,
Jim. Long time, first time.
After my call, the
Ben.
Padres fell apart, and they did not end up going anywhere in the 1999 season. So I was inaccurate in my call to Romy Van Smack.
Now, did he engage with you?
Yeah. No, he didn't. I didn't make fun of me. I didn't get racked or win the huge call of the day. But I also didn't get humiliated and hung up on or anything like that. I was just kind of a regular, average old caller.
Just
the
a
one
regular
time,
old call.
The only time I ever did it.
Yeah.
So who did you call?
Oh, I used to call the ticket all the time back home.
You did?
Yeah, all the time.
Did you use your real name? Like, what was your on-air name?
It was Steve.
Steve
from
Steve
Grapevine.
in Grapevine. You're next up on the
They
ticket.
They didn't take a ton of calls.
Okay.
They really didn't. They didn't take a ton of calls.
Did you call Reiner your favorite?
Yeah.
You called into his show?
Yeah, talked to him before, talking baseball with Rhines. I texted with him this morning, my radio Jesus, Mike Reiner from 13. He was on 1310 The Ticket. He's on 97.1 The Freak now.
The Freak?
And, yeah, he's doing great. The Freak. And he's a huge Ranger fan. In a town full of Cowboy fans, he is like a true, always has been. Baseball Jesus is his nickname. He's my radio Jesus. But I texted him this morning, and I was like, dude, congratulations. I know this is like so well-deserved for you. So, yeah, he wrote me back this morning. He's like, he's my absolute idol, my
What's
hero.
the longest you waited on hold then to get on?
I
Like,
used to
you'd
do.
call in and
I used to
did
do
you-
requests. All like when I was probably 14 or 15, I would call in to request like the Cure love song or
FM's
something.
what?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Romy. I would call in to request songs all the time, knowing I had the CD at home.
Even though you could play it anytime, you wanted to hear. You wanted to make everyone else listen to it.
That's exactly
it wasn't
right.
You wanted to hear
Yeah.
it. You want to make everyone else
I've
listen
done
to it at the same time.
dedications. I've done the
Now,
dedications.
did you ever win a prize at any of the stations, concert tickets, anything like that?
I don't think
Never-
I've
never
ever
won.
won a prize at a radio station. I don't think so. Not that I can recall. would never call for that stuff.
It's not official yet. I don't even know if I'm supposed to say anything, but Adam did tell us yesterday we've got a cool contest that will be starting up, bringing back something we've done before with a really fantastic prize for everybody.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And I don't think I can spill the beans yet, but be listening in the coming days for details on a major contesting initiative. I think if I used corporate speak, we'd call it contesting initiative here at 97.3 The Fan and Odyssey.
We're activating it.
Yeah, we're activating our contest.
That's exactly right. Let's do tier 1 topic wheel.
All right, we got one time for at least one.
Yeah, at least
All
one.
right,
Jordan wants full credit. He said this was his invention. Congratulations, Jordan. Thank you. You get no royalties because we don't get any royalties.
So the problem is everyone's still calling in to win the tickets.
That's
so
right.
if you want to call in quickly, 833-288-0973, we can spin the topic wheel once in the last like 3 minutes.
We got one call here.
Tony, hey, were you calling in for the tickets, or would you like to play tier 1 topic wheel with us, Tony?
Calling in for the ticket.
All right, you didn't
well,
win.
you
Would you
lost,
like to
so
play tier
sorry.
1 topic wheel instead? You can't win anything. I'm sorry.
Sure, why not?
All right, here we
beautiful.
go. Let's
I
do
love
it. Let's spin the topic wheel. Paulie, if you would. Oh, look at how many choices. He has reloaded the topic wheel. I've never seen it so loaded with questions.
Wow. It's even spinning better.
It's spinning faster.
Yeah, it is.
Like he oiled it.
All right, let's start with Tony. Tony, what is your biggest phobia?
Ooh, phobia.
Ooh, heights.
Oh, heights. That's him.
God, it's so good.
I don't suffer from that one.
I'm with him.
I mean, I get a little nervousness, but I kind of like that exhilaration of heights. But I don't want to go down. I don't want to jump off or skydive or roller coaster or anything.
Mine's probably snakes.
Snakes is a good one.
I go on these walks and these trails by my house, and my head is down, just keenly looking 15 yards down the path for these rattlers that I know are there. Now I've got my headphones in, so I can't hear, so I'm just looking. My eyes are just focused on the trail ahead because I have fear of opening my toilet and sitting down a snake biting my butthole. Basically, is what I get absolutely panicked. In porta potties is where I feel like there's snakes living in the doo-doo to come up, and I'm just terrified.
I don't like snakes or bugs, but I can deal with them if I had to. If you gave me like the bucket and the claw to put the snake in the bucket, I could probably get close enough. I could do that. I'm not that scared of them. I'm not the people who will pet a snake or anything, but I wouldn't say I have a phobia.
Rats will get me too.
Ooh, rats are bad, but I can handle all those critters if I had to.
I've said it before. I grew up. My buddy had pet rats. There was our classroom rats or whatever, and he took them home for the summer. I had no problem letting them crawl all over me. It's rats being in your house when they're not supposed to be there.
He's a deviant now. I promise you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am I would say my phobia, I hate the pitch dark. I like to have
I love it.
I always like to have a night light, just a little tiny
night light?
well, just some sort of light coming in from somewhere. Even if it's from outside, just a little bit.
Not like a night light.
Not necessarily. I don't have a night light anymore, but
except the clapper.
Did you have a nightlight in college?
Not in college,
okay.
but there was in college. There's plenty. It's a dorm. There's plenty of light
lights.
everywhere coming in through the cracks of the door.
I hate light,
but I don't want to be pitch black in the night. I like to be able to at least see a little bit when I get up.
Told you guys before, my dream situation to sleep in is a coffin,
right?
An air conditioned coffin where I just am black and cold.
What's
and
the closed tight
claustrophobia?
Spaces? Yeah, claustrophobia. A little
agoraphobia.
Bit, yeah. No, that's open. Is that open spaces? I don't have that one, but closed spaces a little bit for sure.
I can't sleep with any shred of light in the room. I go crazy. A blinking, DVD player back in the VCR.
Yeah, I don't mind a little bit.
I like having a sock over it.
I like having something there.
Oh, I can't do it. I cannot do it.
No.
It's not my biggest phobia. I'm not a good flyer. I love going places and going on vacation. I don't like flying on
Have fun
planes.
flying to Singapore
I will
for 17 hours.
Heavily sedated.
All right. That is it for us. A good show today. Very fun. Great guests. We will be back tomorrow. Wonder if the Dodgers season will be over or not.
No chance. Zero
Coach and
chance.
Braden will take you for the next 4 hours. For executive producer, imaging director Paul Reindl, and Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Wednesday from all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.